Previously, suddenly, the room light turned off and a few moments later, one of Gao Peng's schoolmates were running to get out of the room while begging to help him. Gao Peng asked the man what was going on inside the room. Suddenly Gao Peng saw a big hand reaching for his running schoolmate. Gao Peng's schoolmates were shocked while Gao Peng was at the side of the door looking at the monster. The monster's name is a green haunt. Its attributes are ghost and ghoul. Its skill is illusion level 1 and its weaknesses are light, holy, and electric. The green haunt status is healthy but nervous and its special characteristics said it feeds off of fear, and it can convert the fear of other living being into yin-type attacks. The man saw a white fog beside him and thinks a monster capable of altering its surrounding must be above commander tier, and they were no match for it. The man tells the other students to go and that he'll hold the monster off. Then he tells the other student to remember to call the police, which made the other student touch while Gao Peng just looks at the man in disgust. The monster looks at them, then crawl toward the man who currently shaking in fear and wondering why the monster is growing bigger. The other students run while saying that they shouldn't let the man's sacrifice go to waste. Moi looks at Gao Peng who currently walking toward the monster and asks if Gao Peng isn't scared. Gao Peng responded why would he be scared if they were in ancient China and the monster named Green Haunt would have been dubbed a ghost. Moi hides behind the door while looking at Gao Peng. Gao Peng said in reality, the green haunt is just a monster, and if it's a monster, it has a weakness, and if it has a weakness, then it can be defeated. Then Gao Peng tells Goldie to attack, to which Goldie immediately followed. Goldie runs toward the screaming green haunt, while the man shouts to Goldie to stop because the monster is at least commander tier. Goldie kicks the green haunt and uses its forbidden domain skill, which made the illusion slowly fade. The man was shocked and asked where is the monster and where is the white fog. Then the man noticed the monster and pointed at it. The man shouted that another monster has appeared near the window. Then the man looks at Gao Peng in shock and asks Gao Peng what's going on. Gao Peng responded that there's nothing to be surprised about because it's an illusion and a good one at that. On the other hand, Goldie kicks the green haunt out off the window and said that his kick will teach the green haunt not to be arrogant. Gao Peng shouted to ask Goldie why did he kick the green haunt out the window, which made Goldie confused. Then Gao Peng looked out the window while thinking he wanted to take the green haunt home and raise it, and he said who knew Goldie kick would send out flying the green haunt, and Gao Peng knows that it won't survive a fall from such a height. Suddenly Gao Peng and Goldie were shocked to see Moi beside them. Gao Peng wonder how Moi walk without making a sound. Moi order his beast to go out, which made Gao Peng ask Moi what was wrong. Moi tells Gao Peng to look below because someone was trying to take the monster's corpse. Gao Peng looked down and saw the man being trapped by Moi's beast. Then Gao Peng said he can't believe someone wants the dead green haunt. Then Gao Peng turned around and started to walk away while saying if there was nothing else, then he'll be going now because he had already taken care of the monster, so he'll leave the task of comforting Lai Yu to the Students' Association. Moi asks Gao Peng if he isn't curious about the green haunt corpse. Gao Peng responded that someone called the police just now, so they'll be arriving soon and the corpse will be taken away by the police for inspection anyway, so there's nothing to see even if he stay, and he better just heads back home. Gao Peng saw the man who tried to get the green haunt's corpse being held by the police. The man said he had got nothing to do with it and it was not his monster. He just saw a monster corpse on the ground and just thought he could earn a bit of money by selling it. Gao Peng thinks it's true that selling a monster's corpse can earn money, but Gao Peng wonders if the man's timing was too suspicious. Then Gao Peng waits at the gate of the building for his taxi, while thinking Goldie's forbidden domain is able to counter illusions, and together with Goldie's special characteristic of growing stronger with each hit, Goldie had a promising future. The taxi stopped in front of Gao Peng, which made Gao Peng wonder if that was his ride because it arrived way too quickly. Then Gao Peng enters the car and tells the driver to drop him in the Southern Sky Group while Gao Peng wonders if there's an empty taxi nearby. While driving, the driver looks at Gao Peng, then Gao Peng tells the driver to pull over ahead because he needs to use the restroom. The driver tells Gao Peng to hold it in and he'll drive faster to reach the Southern Sky Group in another 10 to 20 minutes. Gao Peng looked at the man and said their direction isn't the way to the Southern Sky Group. Then Gao Peng ordered Goldie to beat the driver up, which made the man shocked. The man tells Gao Peng to not be so hasty, but Goldie angrily hit the man's head while saying words. The man stops the car, then Gao Peng kicks the car door open to get down. Then Gao Peng walked toward the driver and tell the driver that he should have stopped when he told him to. Then Gao Peng asked the driver who sent him. The driver got down of the car while raising his hands in the air and said that the situation is a misunderstanding and he don't have anything against Gao Peng. But Gao Peng hears the noise in the car trunk, then the car trunk opens showing the hand of the monster. Gao Peng asks the driver if the driver really doesn't have anything against him. Suddenly the monster appeared behind Gao Peng and tried to attack him. Then the monster hit Gao Peng in the back. Then the driver said Gao Peng only has himself to blame for not minding his own business. Gao Peng touched his head and said immunity to damage doesn't equal immunity to pain, and the punch to his head still sting a bit. The driver was shocked to saw Gao Peng fine and said it doesn't make sense. Then Gao Peng looked at the monster named Frost Corpse Monkey, who currently reaching at him slowly. It was level 20, an excellent grade, and its attributes are yin and corpse, which made Gao Peng think it was another corpse type. Just now it was a ghost type green haunt, and now it's a corpse type monster. Gao Peng thinks the monster must be there to avenge its death, but he didn't expect retribution to arrive that soon. Then the monkey tried to touch Gao Peng hot dog, which made Gao Peng shocked and said the monkey is going too far. Suddenly Goldie jumped toward the monkey's hand. Then looked at the monkey and said how dare the monkey touch the weird ducky. The driver was shocked to saw Goldie got bigger and asked why did the duck grow big all of a sudden. But Gao Peng just smiled while thinking what do barbarians like the man, who only know how to swing their fists, and Gao Peng knows his familiars fight with tactics. Gao Peng also thinks that he had already tested Goldie when they first signed the blood contract. Transferring the damage he receives to Goldie can activate it passively, and that endures his safety in case the enemy aims for him instead of his familiars, and rapidly increases Goldie's combat power, thus killing two birds with one stone. Goldie throws his feather clothes, then attacks the monkey, which made Gao Peng proud. On the other hand, the driver gets his stainless rod behind his car and tried to attack Gao Peng using it. Gao Peng remembers his grandfather telling him that since he already knows that monster trainers can receive a power bonus from their familiar, Jai Huan said he'll now teach Gao Peng a set of boxing techniques that can benefit both Gao Peng health and also train Gao Peng to effectively use the power he receives. Jai Huan tells Gao Peng that the first step is to feel the power within his body with his mind. Then Gao Peng blocks the stainless rod the man holding while saying, then channel the power to his core and increase his strength. Start from below and gradually make his way up. Channel it up to his calf, thigh, crotch, and waist, back, shoulders, and neck, then arm until it reaches his fists. Then Gao Peng punched the man in the chin. The man collapsed on the ground while Gao Peng said the man overestimated himself. Then Gao Peng look at Goldie, who currently eating the monkey, then orders Goldie not to eat the monkey. Then Goldie drops the monkey on the ground while stepping on it. Gao Peng look at his phone and said he don't know where the driver drove him, but he remember his grandfather telling him to contact one person if he ever needs some assistance. Gao Peng call the man, and the man answers immediately. Then the man asks Gao Peng how may he help him. Gao Peng responded that he encountered some trouble, and that he don't know where he is right now, and that he should be somewhere near the old city area. Then Gao Peng asked the man if they can find him and send over some people who know how to fight. The man on the other line said Gao Peng location is being automatically transmitted to them the moment Gao Peng calls their number. Then the man asked if Gao Peng needs them to rush over to his current location immediately. Gao Peng responded that they were so advanced, and he tells the man to come over and he'll wait for them. A few moments later, the helicopter arrives at Gao Peng location. Then Gao Peng waved his hand and said he was there. The man asks Gao Peng what are his orders. Gao Peng responded that they are even wearing the same uniform, which makes them look like the bad guys instead. Then Gao Peng thanked the man for his hard work. Then he asked the man how should he address him. The man responded his name is Wang Ye. Wang Ye tells Gao Peng that all of them there are indebted to Jai Huan, and now they handle Jai Huan less scrupulous affairs. Wang Ye also said if Gao Peng has any affairs that can't be brought to light, they're the right people for the job. Gao Peng looked at the unconscious man on the ground and said after helping his friend with something, he got into a bit of trouble with a shady organization, and the person laying on the ground is probably one of the shady organization's members. Wang Yi responded that he understands and tells Gao Peng to leave it to them. Then one man tells Gao Peng that the driver is probably a member of a Xiangxi-based criminal group, and there are 7 core members in the group. 2 commander tier familiars, a mid-stage commander tier night terror ghost, and an early stage commander tier ghost child respectively. Gao Peng started to walk away while thinking the criminal group was so weak, and he thought he was being targeted by a huge shadowy organization with hundreds of members under its command, not some mere thugs. Then Gao Peng tells Wang Yi that he'll leave the rest to him. Wang Yi said the criminal group is just some street thugs. Then he tells Gao Peng to rest easy. Then Wang Yi tells his team that their target is the Xingmao building in Yushis's old city area. Then Wang Yi and his team come back to the helicopter while Gao Peng tells them to capture the 2 commander tier familiars alive if possible, but their safety comes first. Meanwhile, in Yuzhou, in an urban village, the woman in the bed asks the man beside her why isn't he sleeping. The man responded that there was something wrong because his brother C still hasn't contacted him yet, and he can't reach C's number either. Then the man gets in under the bed while saying maybe they messed with the wrong people. Then he orders the woman to get dressed because they're leaving. Under the bed, the man was looking at the monster while saying he felt more at ease with the monster by his side. A few moments later, the man peeked into the door to check the outside. Then he tells the woman that the back is clear and they should go. Suddenly someone pointed a flashlight in front of them while asking them where are they two going at that time of the night, which made the man shocked and asked who is that. Wang Yi ordered his team to subdue the targets using anesthesia bullets. Then they attack the man and the women, which made the man drops the jar he's holding. The jar opens and the monster pops out of it screaming and attacking the people around it. Wang Yi team said the Night of Terror ghost has lost control. Wang Yi tells his team not to worry and be careful not to fall for the Night Terror ghost's auditory hallucinations. Suddenly the horse jumps to the wall and attacks the Night Terror ghost. Then the horse stepped on the Night Terror ghost's body to avoid it escaping. Wang Yi looked at the Night Terror ghost and said their mission is accomplished. A few hours later, Wang Yi meets Gao Peng, which made Gao Peng said it hasn't even been 2 hours, but Wang Yi succeed in the mission. Wang Yi responded that he's glad that they didn't disappoint Gao Peng. Then Wang Yi pointed to the horse and Night Terror ghost, then asked Gao Peng to look at it. The horse monster's name is Red Blood War Horse. It was level 32 commander tier and its status is healthy but haughty. Its grade is excellent and its attribute is fire. The horse's ability is Sunfire level 2 and its description said it still retains the hardiness of the war horses it has evolved. The monster who is currently being stepped on by the horse is named Night Terror Ghost. It was level 27 commander tier and its status is heavy injury and angry. Its grade is excellent and its attributes are ghost and ghoul. Also, its ability is illusion level 2. Gao Peng thinks the horse should be Wang Yi familiar and what a coincidence for it to counter ghoul type monsters. Suddenly Gao Peng noticed something and saw the monster named Jai Spirit, a ghost child, hiding behind the horse. It was level 23 commander tier and its status is healthy but scared. Its grade is normal and its attributes are ghost and ghoul. Its ability is illusion level 1 and its description said one of the 24 mythical spirits of old. Jai Spirit, a ghost child or wailing night spirit, is often formed from babies who died prematurely. It is usually childish and timid in nature. Gao Peng think it was interesting, and aside from the aquatic dragon, that is the first time he encountered a monster from an actual legend. Wang Yi asks Gao Peng if he is interested in the ghost child, which made Gao Peng wonder why Wang Yi called the Jai Spirit a ghost child. But then he remembers that what they call the monsters is different from the name recorded in the system. Then Gao Peng tells Wang to leave the Jai Spirit to him for a while because he wants to study it. Then he thanked Wang Yi for his hard work and Gao Peng asked Wang Yi if he was free and would he like to visit his laboratory. Wang Yi responded yes, then looked at his horse, tell to it that the company's recent hot-selling reagents all come from Gao Peng's laboratory, and the only researcher in that laboratory is Gao Peng. Then Wang Yi told his horse that Gao Peng can help him evolve, so he shouldn't act naughty in front of Gao Peng later. The horse acts almighty and responded to his owner that a man must not be corrupted by riches nor swayed from his principles and not bend under pressure. Wang Yi realizes that he shouldn't have shown Lu Bu's biography to his horse because it's acting almighty, and it thinks of itself as some sort of pureblood. Then Gao Peng showed a tube to the horse and asked it if it want to eat it. The horse responded that he will not be swayed, but before it can finish its words, Gao Peng opens the lid of the tube and its fragrance spread into the air. Then Gao Peng asks the horse again if it wants to eat it now. The horse smelled the mixture and looked at it excitedly. Then the horse bends its 4 feet, wags its tail, and said he want to eat it, which made Wang Yi embarrassed. A moment later, while the horse and Wang Yi walking away, the horse said he can fight for 300 rounds. Wang Yi responded that he know that his horse is very excited after its evolution, and that once they get back, he'll feed it more. Gao Peng just looked at the horse and Wang Yi and said that Wang Yi and the horse have a good relationship. Suddenly, Jai Huan coughs to get Gao Peng's attention. Then Gao Peng immediately turn around and greet his grandfather. Gao Peng said he thought Jai Huan is going to be stuck in a meeting until 12 again, but Jai Huan come back early. Jai Huan changes the topic and asks Gao Peng how's the progress of his familiars. Gao Peng pointed to his beast and said his grandfather is just in time because his familiars are in training right now. Gao Peng said Dazai and Stripey are both epic grade and around level 30. The one is more offensive and has the ability to fly, and the other is more defensive and can control the battlefield with its spider webs. As for the others, Goldie kicked Dummy, which made Dummy push back away. Dummy said Goldie's attack is not bad, then Dummy made a sword, then chased Goldie using it, while Goldie ran and asked Dummy when did Dummy learn how to conjure weapons. Then Goldie called Dummy a cheater. Gao Peng tells Jai Huan that after being in the slaughterhouse for 3 weeks, Dummy's level is currently 39 and it's only 2 levels away from being promoted to the Lord tier. Goldie also reached the Commander tier 2 weeks ago and had downgraded from Legendary grade to Epic grade, but Goldie was able to reach Legendary grade again a few days ago. Dummy and Goldie are the best sparring partners for each other. Jai Hyun remind Gao Peng that there's one more week before the World Youth Trainer Championship, and for him to be a referee at his current level is a bit iffy. Then Jai Hyun tell Gao Peng that if you want to convince the public and silence all criticism, he need to have a Lord tier familiar before entering the competition. Gao Peng responded that at that rate, Dummy should reach level 40 by the time it enters the competition. But Gao Peng thinks getting to the Lord tier is a little bit hard. Jai Hyun just walk away while saying good luck to Gao Peng. Then Jai Hyun also said White is preparing for its breakthrough tonight. Gao Peng got excited and said it was so sudden, but Gao Peng said if White evolves, it will be promoted to the legendary King tier familiar, which is the highest monster tier that human have made contact with. Then Gao Peng excitedly tell Jai Hyun that he'll help him to guard White tonight. But Jai Hyun just laughs and said in Gao Peng's level, he should just sleep. A few hours later, at Villa's lakeside, the lake water splashes strongly. On the other hand, Gao Peng was on the balcony looking at the lake in the fog and said it looked like the evolution has started. Then he said he can't sleep because it was the king tier they talking about. Suddenly Gao Peng noticed that White level is level 51, which made Gao Peng wonder White is already level 51 and if his grandfather didn't say the breakthrough is tonight. Gao Peng also wonders why White is howling when it has already made a breakthrough, and if something happens or does his grandfather have some sort of plan. Then Gao Peng realizes that is the reason why his grandfather told him to stay out of it. Meanwhile, at the military office, one military reported that Jai Hanwoo's aquatic dragon is breaking through to a higher tier, which made one of the military officers shout that Jai Hyun dragon should be around the highest level of the Lord tier, and if it breaks through it will reach the king tier. One other military officer said the Lord tier aquatic dragon that's at its peak is why Jai Hyun has the influence he has now, and that's why the Southern Sky Group is able to act so independently. Then the man said be it the military or them, they were all forced to give in to Jai Hyun demands, and now that Jai Hyun dragon is going through another breakthrough. The other military man said his co-officer is being too unreasonable because Jai Hyun is one of them. Then the man beside him said, Jai Hyun is actually not bad, and at least doesn't throw his weight around. Besides, Jai Hyun is quite respectful of the military. The other officer responded that's only because they don't know what kind of person Jai Hyun is, and it isn't that Jai Hyun doesn't respect the military, but because Jai Hyun is smart. Then the man also said if they knew what Jai Hyun did in the past, they would know Jai Hyun isn't a benevolent person. Then the other military said to who's siding with Jai Hyun that if they want to be a guard dog of a businessman, they should do it themselves. Then the military who sided with Jai Hyun and the military who don't like Jai Hyun started to fight, while their senior official was just in the middle of the table silently thinking. Then one of the military break the fight and ask if they're going to make their move or not. One military official angrily stands up and asks his fighting comrades what the hell they're thinking. Then he reminds his comrades that they haven't even finished dealing with the monsters outside, and now they want to start a fight among themselves. The man also said if they want to argue, they should argue among themselves. Then the man left. This made the other military say the man named Long Xing left first again, and they said Long Xing always had an attitude problem just because he has a strong familiar. The senior official angrily told the military officials that their fight is enough because the decision has been made and everyone need to follow the orders and not interfere, or they will be court-martialed. Then the senior official started to walk away. Suddenly one military called the senior official, which made the senior official look at the military man. The man said he agreed that they were not in a position to act, but then the man asked if they can't find someone else to take action for them. The man also said they can leak the information and there are definitely people out there who don't want Jai Hyun's familiar to break through. The senior official responded that it was enough and ordered the military man to go back and stop thinking about leaking Jai Hyun's familiar information because there was no one in Yuju City who would dare touch Jai Hyun. The military man just smiles and thinks he doesn't think so. Meanwhile, at Jai Hyun Lake, the tiger monster was in the hills while looking at White screaming below, while thinking that the human didn't lie to him, and there really is an aquatic dragon that was about to break through. The tiger also thinks monsters with dragon blood are a great dietary supplement for him, but the tiger is hesitant if it is a trap and if he should risk going to it. Then the tiger jumps down the hills and runs toward White while thinking, listening to White roar. He knows that White is definitely still in the middle of breaking through and he can't miss the opportunity. When the tiger landed on the grass, he wondered where is the dragon. Suddenly White stabs the tiger in the back, then White bites the tiger in half with one bite. The next morning, Jai Hyun was at his office looking out of his window when Xiao Zhu called him on the digital device. Jai Hyun responded that he was done in his office. Then he asked Xiao Zhu how's it going over in Xiao Zhu's current location. Xiao Zhu responded that the security department has found a few other spies in the company even though they purged them once in the past. Then Xiao Zhu said they'll use the opportunity to properly do another cleanup, and as expected, the moment Jai Hyun show a hint of weakness, the rats will waste no time scurrying out of their hiding place. Jai Hyun orders Xiao Zhu to clean the rats out, to which Xiao Zhu immediately follow. On the other hand, in the company's technology department, Xiao Zhu arrived. The security man said the door is locked. Xiao Zhu orders his beast to go, then his beast kicks the door, which made the door destroyed. When the door opened, a monster showed, which made Xiao Zhu say hiding a familiar behind the door is a cheap trick. Xiao Zhu familiar punched the monster, which made the monster die. Then Xiao Zhu ordered the security to bring a few men inside and check the place thoroughly. Then he ordered one of the securities named Xiao Lai to inform Team 2 to guard the exits, which the securities followed. The security immediately searched the room and reported to Xiao Zhu that a lot of documents are missing, and the files in the computer have been deleted. Xiao Zhu called his beast named Oriate and ordered it to find their department head, Zhao. Oriate closed its eyes to concentrate, then it opened its eyes and ran and jumped to the window, which made the girl employee shocked. On the other hand, Zhao was in the parking lot walking to his car cursing. Then Zhao goes inside his car while saying that the stupid tiger failed, and the tiger also wasn't willing to sign the blood contract with him. Yet the tiger kept taking the benefits without giving anything back to him. Zhao also said who knew that old fart Jai Hanwoo still had a trick up his sleeve, and Jai Hyun aquatic dragon probably evolved a long time ago, and it was all an act. Zhao angrily said it was okay because the documents he possesses have a lot of information about the Southern Sky Group's internal matters, and if he can bring it to the Sky River Group, the Sky River Group have to at least give him the deputy director position. But Zhao thinks it's a pity that even as head of the technology department, he unable to access information about the Southern Sky Group's technology because Jai Hyun doesn't trust anyone. Then Zhao started his car and drive faster, which made the parking barrier break. Suddenly Oriate appeared in front of Zhao car, which made Zhao shocked. Then Oriate lifts Zhao car, then throw it aside. Oriate angrily looks at Zhao inside his car. On the other hand, at Jai Hyun's office, Gao Peng gives the documents to Jai Hyun and tells him that he had a new inspiration when he was helping Huang Ye to promote his familiar. And in the paper is the data of the new type of reagent that can increase a horse-type familiar's endurance and strength. Jai Hyun smiled and tells Gao Peng that his idea is not bad. Suddenly Xiao Zhu arrived at Jai Hyun's office, which made King Jai, who was with Gao Peng, ask her dad why he is there. Jai Hyun walked towards Xiao Zhu and patted his back. Then Jai Hyun said he told Xiao Zhu to come there. Then Jai Hyun tells Gao Peng that Xiao Zhu is Zhu's son and he is his right-hand man. Then Jai Hyun tells Gao Peng that he can call Xiao Zhu's uncle Zhu. Gao Peng greeted Xiao Zhu. Then Xiao Zhu said Gao Peng is a genius who even his dad can't stop praising, and he can't have someone like Gao Peng call him an uncle. Gao Peng thinks he has long heard about the head of the Southern Sky Group's security department. Big name, but he hasn't seen him in person before. Also, Gao Peng thinks old Zhu and Zhu Qingjai both look polite while department head Xiao Zhu doesn't look like them. Then Oriate throws Zhao into the ground. While looking at Oriate, he thinks that compared to Xiao Zhu, his familiar is more interesting. Oriate monster's name is Golden Dazzling Light Boxing Champion Kangaroo. It was level 40 in perfect grade and its skill is Extraordinary Sixth Sense level 2. Its monster attribute is light and its monster state is healthy and active. Oriate monster introduction said a kangaroo who loves kickboxing and muscle training, and it has become very strong because of its long-term training and a diet high in nutrition. Also, it gained its Extraordinary Sixth Sense ability through a mixture of natural-born talent and hard training. Gao Peng thinks it was his first time to see a skill like an Extraordinary Sixth Sense, and he thinks it was a greatly enhanced Sixth Sense because the creature's visual senses are senses of hearing, sense of smell, sense of touch, sense of taste, and the Sixth Sense is the sense of danger. Gao Peng knows that for most monsters, the Extraordinary Sixth Sense is useless, but for monsters such as the Golden Dazzling Light Boxing Champion Kangaroo that do close combat, the skill gives the kangaroo a huge advantage. Oriate smiled at Gao Peng, which made him think the longer a monster's name is, the cooler it is. On the other hand, Jai Hyun was looking at Zhao and said he was the one who helped Zhao pay off his father's 3 million yuan gambling debt, and Jai Hyun said all these years he have trained Zhao as one of his trusted aides. Zhao shakingly responds that Jai Hyun has treated him well. Jai Hyun said it was understandable if Zhao wanted to leave. Then Jai Hyun tells Zhao that he could have gone anywhere he wanted and he wouldn't have bothered him. But Zhao shouldn't have taken the documents and attempted to find a better future at their rival group. Zhao shakily bowed his head and begged Jai Hyun to give him another chance. Jai Hyun angrily called Gao Peng's name. Then Jai Hyun looked at Gao Peng and asked if it was him, how would he handle the situation. Gao Peng responded that he'd make an example out of Zhao. Jai Hyun said Gao Peng thinking is good because if they were living in a peaceful era, they would obviously let the law take its course, but they're living in a new world now. Then Jai Hyun tells Xiao Zhu to make sure there are no loose ends, and if anyone asks, tell them it was an experiment that went wrong and that Zhao, unfortunately, died at his post. Then he orders Xiao Zhu to increase the compensation to the Zhao family by 2 levels. Xiao Zhu immediately agrees and drags Zhao, who currently begging for his life, to Jai Hyun and Gao Peng and saying that he was wrong and he worked for many years with the Southern Sky Group and he has sacrificed his blood, sweat, and tears. A night comes at Jai Hyun's villa lakeside. White is happily wagging its tail. On the other hand, at the balcony, Jai Hyun asks Gao Peng if he's still thinking about what happened earlier. Gao Peng responded that he was just thinking about what other people would think if they had forgiven someone who betrayed the company and leaked the company's internal matter to their rival. Gao Peng look at the lake and ask if the people would think to try betraying the company too, since they could just ask for forgiveness if they were caught. Then Gao Peng said they can't set a bad precedent. Jai Hyun responded that originally he wouldn't have wanted Gao Peng involved in those shady things, but as his grandson, Gao Peng can't be raised as a sheltered flower. Gao Peng tells his grandfather not to worry because he understands. Suddenly, White threw something using its tail on the balcony to Gao Peng and Jai Hyun's side, which made Gao Peng and Jai Hyun confused. They look at the hole and saw Stripey Dizzy. Jai Hyun and Gao Peng look at Happy White. Then Jai Hyun said White has been very playful these few days. Then Jai Hyun tells Gao Peng that he'll ask White to catch a few high-level monsters for dummy leveling. Gao Peng responded that he'll be counting on his grandfather White Dragon because dummy just needs a bit more to be promoted. A few days later, in the Imperial Airport, the boy tells Moi to give her best at the Youth Championship and that she should show the other contestant the strength of Yuzhou University. The other man happily said Moi will definitely be in the top 3, and the lady also said good luck to Moi. Suddenly, the girl noticed Gao Peng. This made the girl ask why Gao Peng was at the airport and if Gao Peng didn't already withdraw from the Youth Monster Trainer Championship. The man said maybe Gao Peng regrets it and wants to go watch the match live. On the other hand, Gao Peng thinks his grandfather said someone from the capital would be there to pick him up. The boy said if Gao Peng also took part in the World Youth Monster Trainer Championship, there would have been 3 contestants from their university. The other man said he remember there are 3 contestants from Imperial University, and that 3 contestants were so proud of themselves and always claimed that they'll win the gold, silver, and bronze on the university forums. Suddenly the girl tells his schoolmates to look at the convoy of Tending Fang trucks. Then the girls ask if it could be that some big shot from the other base cities has come to the capital. On the other hand, Gao Peng thinks it is so high profile when they are just there to pick someone up and they must be scared that people don't know they're rich. But the man smiled at Gao Peng, which made Gao Peng wonder why he have a bad feeling about the situation. The man bowed to Gao Peng and asked him to get in the car. Gao Peng responded that he need to get his familiars first. But the man tells Gao Peng not to worry because they'd already sent someone to pick up his familiars and his familiars are in another vehicle. The man also said they can depart once Gao Peng confirms it, which made Gao Peng wonder if he didn't tell his grandfather that he wanted to keep a low profile. On the other hand, the boy wonders if Gao Peng had such a rich background. Then the other man wonders if the special ride is there to pick up Gao Peng. Also, the man also asked if Gao Peng background didn't say his parents passed away a long time ago. A few moments later, Gao Peng goes into the room and greets Zhu Tianmin, one of the 12 elders of the Monster Trainer League and former chairman of the Nine Mountain Group. Zhu said Gao Peng is young and promising. Then he asked Gao Peng if he was around the same age as the contestants. Gao Peng responded that he's not just around the same age, he was also a contestant who withdrew. Zhu said regarding the issue of letting Gao Peng be a referee, Jai Hyun and he both approve. But old Ping Zhang doesn't agree because Ping Zhang doesn't trust someone as young as Gao Peng and he wants a referee who's more steady and calm. Gao Peng asks if Ping Zhang is one of the 12 elders. Zhu responded that Gao Peng was right and Zhu explained that originally Gao Peng didn't have to take a test. Zhu said he took Jai Hyun words and he wanted to forego it. But there are some people who are making an issue out of it, so Zhu said he have to trouble Gao Peng to come with him to take the test that will shut those people up. To which Gao Peng confidently agrees. A few moments later, Gao Peng with Dummy and Zhu arrived at the training room. The girl walked toward them and called Zhu's grandfather and asked Zhu what bring him there. Zhu introduced Gao Peng to his granddaughter named Zhu Meng Meng. Zhu also said that Meng Meng is in 3rd year at the Imperial's University, and she is 2 years ahead of Gao Peng. Gao Peng happily greets her, while Zhu tells Meng Meng that she needs to call Gao Peng a little brother because Gao Peng is Jai Hyun's grandson. Meng Meng asks Zhu if he's talking about Jai Hyun from Yuzhou. Zhu said she is right and he tells Meng Meng not to look down on Gao Peng even though he is 2 years behind her and the reason Gao Peng came to the capital is to take part in the Youth Trainer Championships as a referee. which made Meng Meng shocked and said Gao Peng is so young for being a referee to the Youth Trainer Championships. But Zhu just walked past them and said it is precisely because Gao Peng is young, so those old geezers want them to test Gao Peng. Then Zhu called Gao Peng to follow him into the testing room. Zhu said he remembered Jai Huan said Gao Peng have 6 familiars at a young age, and possessing 3 commander tier monsters is already considered a rare genius, so if Gao Peng has 2 commander tier familiars and he slightly tweaks the results, Gao Peng tells Zhu that if that case, there was no need for the test. Then Gao Peng called Dummy. Then Dummy walks closer to Gao Peng. Then Gao Peng asks Dummy to give Zhu a demonstration. Dummy grabs his coat and throws it away, which made Zhu shocked to see Dummy's monster name is a skeleton tyrant in level 41 Lord tier, and its grade is epic. Its skills are Bone Hardens level 3 and Control of the Undead level 2. Also, Dummy's special characteristics are Blood, Thread, Heart, and Flame of the Undead, and its weakness is Light type. Zhu shouted that Gao Peng's familiar is a Lord Halo that Ghoul type familiar. Gao Peng shyly said he was just lucky and it was all thanks to his grandfather. Meng Meng thinks his strongest familiar is only a late stage commander tier after more than 3 years of training, and she thinks a Lord tier is already enough to defend a few small base cities. Zhu laughed and said Gao Peng hid his familiar quite well, and he said he can't wait to see the other elders' faces. Zhu also said it'll be quite a show. A moment later, at the World Youth Monster Trainer Championship Live, the reporter named Han Yunzheng from Southwest TV, reporting live from the World Youth Monster Trainer Championship, and she said there's an hour until the championship begins, but the atmosphere is already very lively. A half hour later, a girl reporting from Magic TV pointed to Moi on the screen and said there was only half an hour until the championship begins and contestants are starting to enter the arena. After waiting, 8 o'clock arrives. The host welcomes the audience to their first ever World Youth Monster Trainer Championship, and the very first friendly exchange between the new generation of monster trainers. The host said she believes the audience is very excited, so she'll explain the rules of the tournament. The host said there are a total of 64 contestants and only 32 of the contestants will go on to the second round, and only 16 will go on in a similar fashion until they determine who's the strongest monster trainer. On the other hand, in the arena waiting area, the man contestant said the tournament is about to start, then he asks the other contestants if they were nervous, but the other contestants just ignored him. The man angrily thinks the other contestants ignoring him because his dad pulled a couple of strings to get him onto the team. Then he decided to show the other contestants that he made it onto the team because of his sheer talent. Then the man confidently thinks that he can win because he didn't just goof around during those 3 months. The angry man named Hen Lei thinks is not weaker than anyone and he's not Gao Peng's replacement. On the other hand, the host showed Han Lei and the other man's faces on the screen while explaining that the picture on the screen draw lots of determine their opponents, and for the first round, they have Han Lei of the Huaxia region against Lucas of the Great Britain region. Then the host called Han Lei to the ring, which made Han Lei proud of himself because so many people are watching him. Then the host called Lucas into the ring, which made the audience cheer, which made Han Lei angry and thinks Lucas is only a tad better looking than him. Then the host called the youngest of their 3 referees, which made Han Lei shocked, and asked how can it be Gao Peng. Then Gao Peng showed himself. The audience and the contestants were shocked to saw Gao Peng as a referee. The other audience whispered that Gao Peng is too young to be a referee, and they believe it even though they said Gao Peng is a contestant. Also, Gao Peng's schoolmates from Yuzhou University were shocked and said people can have the same name but not the same looks. Meanwhile, in the Chang'an city at Han family's estate, Han was watching the television and wondered if Gao Peng didn't accept his money to withdraw from the tournament. Han also said apart from talent, one's background is much more important to become a referee, and he wondered if his background check on Gao Peng is wrong, and he was sure Gao Peng is sly. At the same time, he wondered what if Gao Peng trips Han Lei up. Then Han clicks the phone in his chair and orders someone from another line to put him through to Director Chen of the Monster Trainer League. Director Chen accepts Han call, then Han asks Chen if he can help him contact Gao Peng. Chen responded that Gao Peng is currently busy refereeing in the tournament, and Chen said if Han want to talk to Gao Peng he can call him after a match, and if Han had nothing else to say he'll be hanging up. Then Chen hang up, which made Han angrily called Gao Peng's name. Meanwhile, in the arena, Gao Peng made everyone silent and said he was indeed one of the referees of the tournament, and is only 18 years old. The audiences were shocked and shouted that the minimum age requirement to sign a blood contract is 18 years old. Then they asked Gao Peng angrily if he did become a referee right after signing with a familiar. The other audience also angrily asked how can a pipsqueak like Gao Peng be a referee. Then they called the situation a setup. But Gao Peng calmly flipped his hand and called Dummy. Dummy jumped behind Gao Peng. Then Gao Peng ordered Dummy to show his skill to the audience. But Gao Peng also tells Dummy to remember to limit his range and don't accidentally injure anyone. Dummy used his summoning skill, which made everyone shocked including Han Lei and his beast on the side. Then Gao Peng asks the audience if they still have questions about his qualification. One of the audience said that Gao Peng is so scary because he is only 18 years old but he had a Lord tier familiar. He also wonders if Gao Peng is cheating. The man beside him said no wonder they invited Gao Peng to be a referee. Otherwise, the other contestants wouldn't have stood a chance and he thinks the organizer is wise. The man tells his friend that just earlier he just accused Gao Peng of being a setup but now he's taking his words back. On the other hand, Gao Peng explained the rules and said stepping out of field bounds is forbidden and there are no restrictions on the battle techniques they can use. However, directly attacking their opponent is forbidden. Then Gao Peng also said the match is over when one of the contestants admits defeat or when one of their familiars is unable to continue fighting. Then Gao Peng asks the contestants to move to the command area. Then Gao Peng signed to start the match while saying the first match of the tournament begin. Hanlei Beast immediately ran toward Lucas Beast, which made Gao Peng think the victor is basically determined, and that is kind of boring. Gao Peng also thinks it was a pity that he can't place bets as a referee. Hanlei Beast monster named is Skeletal Rhinoceros. It was level 27 in excellent grade and its attributes are Ghoul and Bone. Its status is healthy and currently competitive and its weakness is Holy. Skeletal attacked Lucas's beast named Swamp Monster. It was level 26 in excellent grade and its attributes are Earth and Mud. Its status is healthy and currently afraid and its weaknesses are 1. Wood and 2. Water. Gao Peng thinks although the Skeletal Rhinoceros is at a higher level and its condition is better than the Swamp Monster, the Rhinoceros is actually at a big disadvantage. The Swamp Monster skill ooze level 2 and as long as its body isn't completely separated, it will be immune to physical damage. The Rhinoceros was confused why his feet were being trapped by the swamp. Gao Peng knows that despite being a Ghoul type, the Rhinoceros hasn't awakened any Ghoul type spells yet, and it can only rely on its strong skeletal structure to fight while being countered by the enemy's attribute. Hanlei angrily realized that the information he received stating that Lucas's familiar was a silverback gorilla is fake, and he wondered where the swamp monster come from. Then Hanlei called his beast idiot and ordered it to move on already. The rhinoceros jumped and broke free from the swamp monster, but the audience saw the swamp monster is catching up to the rhinoceros again. Gao Peng asks Dummy if it were Dummy was fighting the swamp monster, what would Dummy do? Dummy responded that he will chop it up the swamp monster. The rhinoceros was currently mildly injured because it was attacked by the swamp monster, which made Gao Peng walk toward Hanlei while thinking Hanlei is about to be eliminated, and it was a shame. Then Gao Peng asks Hanlei if Hanlei want to admit his defeat. Gao Peng also tells Hanlei that his performance had actually been quite good. It's just that Hanlei was a bit unlucky, and Gao Peng said he hoped that Hanlei won't be disheartened by today's defeat. Hanlei shouted that he will not admit defeat because he haven't lost yet. Then he asked Gao Peng if he was jealous that he can compete but Gao Peng can't. Then Hanlei also said that why Gao Peng pulling those tricks on him. Gao Peng calmly responded that he's acting as a referee now, and he tells Hanlei that risking damaging his reputation just to get back at him is only an idiot would do. Gao Peng also tells Hanlei that he's only giving him a reminder out of goodwill, and it's better to be a coward for a minute than dead for the rest of his life. Gao Peng explained that the swamp monster is corroding his familiar and defeat is just a matter of time. Also, if Hanlei admit his defeat now, Hanlei can still save his familiar, but if he chooses to keep going, then Gao Peng pointed to the rhinoceros who was heavily injured. But Hanlei just pushed Gao Peng aside and ordered his rhinoceros to get up, which made Gao Peng wonder if Hanlei still did not want to give up. The rhinoceros heard Hanlei and broke free from the swamp. Then the rhinoceros in pain looked at Hanlei and said he got up. Hanlei angrily shouted to his rhinoceros what is it standing there for. Then Hanlei ordered it to hurry up and kill the swamp monster because they must win. But the rhinoceros shakily looked at his master in pain. Still, Hanlei don't care and shouted to the rhinoceros to stop whining and orders it to hurry up and attack. Gao Peng thinks the rhinoceros is not bad because it has a strong will, but it was unlucky to have met such a master like Hanlei. The rhinoceros used its last energy and attacked the swamp monster. This made Gao Peng shocked because the fortified fiberglass protective screen, which could withstand even a commander tier monster's attack, has been punctured by the rhinoceros. But the rhinoceros condition said it's on the verge of death and needs to provide treatment as soon as possible. Gao Peng realizes the rhinoceros' last attack is last burst of strength. Then Gao Peng announced that contestant Han's familiar has fallen to the ground for more than 30 seconds, so the winner is contestant Lucas. The rhinoceros called Hanlei, but Hanlei just walks past it and called it useless. Hanlei also said to his beast that he doesn't care if it died because his father will just find him another stronger familiar, which made the rhinoceros cry in pain. Gao Peng shakes hands with Lucas and congratulates Lucas, while Lucas asks if the rhinoceros is okay and if Hanlei does not have any morals because he just ignores his own familiar. Gao Peng tells Lucas not to worry because they'll take care of the rest. Then Gao Peng walked toward the rhinoceros and tell it that he was a good familiar, and his master doesn't deserve him. Then Gao Peng angrily looks at the rhinoceros. Meanwhile, on Union News said, a referee has become the hottest topic of the tournament, and the referee's name is Gao Peng, who was Huaxia Region's 11 contestant who withdrew from the tournament. Also, Gao Peng is only an 18-year-old referee with a Lord tier familiar. Meanwhile, in the World Youth Monster Trainer Championship arena, the host said she believed the audiences are tired after watching a whole morning's worth of matches, but she asked the audiences to be patient because next was the 32nd match of the first round, and it was also the last match of the first elimination round. Then the host called the Huaxia Region's champion contestant named Yuji with his familiar name the Black-Scaled Tiger. It was level 32 in perfect grade and its attribute is dark. Its abilities are Hardened Scales level 1 and Darkness Mastery level 1. The tiger's special characteristic is Eye of Darkness. Passive effect 1 said the Black-Scaled Tiger can see perfectly in the dark, and not only are spirits visible to it, but it also has a high affinity for the darkness element. Active effect 2 said looking at its target can make its target fall into a state of darkness, subjecting its target to a night environment that has the lowest visibility. Then the host called the Yingli Region's champion contestant Brandy with his familiar named Wailing Serpent Tree. It was level 30 in epic grade and its attribute is Wood. Its abilities are Tough Tendrils level 2 and Accelerated Regeneration level 1. The tree's special characteristic is Acidic Sap. Passive effect 1 said its sap is highly corrosive and it can spray it from a specialized organ in its body and cause corrosive damage to an enemy. Passive effect 2 said it leaves a high amount of acid inside the bodies of its prey. Passive effect 3 said if its acidic sap is left to stew inside its body for a long time, it will gain additional effects, such as increased acidity or anesthetic effect, and its weakness is fire. The audience excitedly said the champion of the Huaxia region versus the champion of the Yingli region was exciting to watch. The other audience said the winner is definitely Yuji, but the other said Brandy isn't weak either because Brandy is Yingli region's number 1, after all. On the other hand, Gao Peng announced that the match began. The tiger slowly walks toward the tree, which made Gao Peng think although the tiger is 2 levels higher, its grade is 1 level lower than the tree. Therefore, there's a chance the tree is a bit stronger than the tiger. But Gao Peng knows that neither familiar seems to be weak against the other's attributes, and the tiger's innate ability probably wouldn't be able to have any huge effect on the tree. However, the tree has a much wider range of attacks than the tiger. Still, Gao Peng thinks the tree is plant-type familiar, and like most plant-type familiars, it has a generally known flaw and its mobility is restricted. Gao Peng also thinks that both familiars have an equal probability of winning. Then the tiger made the first move and run toward the tree. Then the tiger used its Dark Region skill, which made the tree surrounding dark. Then the tiger was planning to attack the tree in the dark. But Gao Peng knows that the tree is a plant-type familiar that relied on its infrared radiation to determine its opponent's position, and not its eyes. Then the tree attacked the tiger using its vines. The tree hit the tiger, but the tiger bites off the tree's branch. Yuji happily said the tree's attack can't even break his familiar's defenses and the match must be his win. But Gao Peng look at the tiger, who is currently lightly injured and the corrosion is in accumulation, and thinks he doesn't think Yuji is winning because the tree attacks indeed don't have much destructive power. But the real attack is the corrosive effect in the acidic sap on its vines. Then the tree wrapped the tiger and attacked the tiger using vines, while Gao Peng thought the tree is pretty good because besides the tree attribute, its patience is what makes it so scary, and the tree is just like an old experienced hunter because it waits patiently for the tiger to approach while using its sap to slowly corrode the tiger. Gao Peng knew that the winner has been determined. A few moments later, the tiger was full of corrode, was shaking in pain. When Yuji saw his beast, Yuji raised his hand and said he's surrendering. Then he orders his tiger, who's still trying to stand up and fight, that they should go back. Then Gao Peng walked toward Brandy and congratulate Brandy for his victory in the match. Brandy tells Gao Peng that he is strong and he hopes to fight Gao Peng someday. Gao Peng responded that he'll try to let Brandy lose with his dignity intact. Brandy happily said he'll try his best. Then Brandy happily said goodbye, leaving Gao Peng confused. On the other hand, Yuji tells his tiger that he knows it's not satisfied, but it would have been too dangerous if it had continued fighting because the tree can regenerate but it can't. Then Gao Peng called Yuji. Yuji turned to look at Gao Peng and said he lost and that was all, and if Gao Peng was going to console him, he said Gao Peng can save his breath because he don't need it. Gao Peng responded that he don't have the time to console people, and he remember Yuji's mother is the leader of the Shadow Blood Monster Hunter Association. Gao Peng also said he had a business proposal from Yuji's mother. Then Gao Peng asked him if he knows the difference between Yuji and Brandy. Yuji responded he probably have less experience than Brandy and his tiger was too careless. Yuji also said they probably should have tested his familiar's ability first before going to the match. But Gao Peng said no and that Yuji still haven't figured it out. Then Gao Peng explained that Yuji's familiar's grade was one level lower than the tree's, and the tree is an epic grade familiar while Yuji is just an average perfect grade tiger. Yuji realizes that the reason why Brandy is confident enough to send out a plant-type monster because plant-type monsters not only have notoriously restricted mobility, which makes it nothing more than sitting ducks in the face of long-range attackers, but most of it is also at an extreme disadvantage against fire-type monsters. Then Gao Peng held Yuji's shoulder while saying if Yuji's tiger had reached epic grade, it would have had the speed and power necessary to shred the tree into pieces before it even had time to regenerate its limbs. Then Gao Peng said he knows of a way to evolve Yuji's tiger and he should let him know if Yuji is ready to take the next step. Gao Peng also tells Yuji that he can come to find him when their current situation is over. Yuji just look at Gao Peng while wondering how Gao Peng can evolve a tiger into an epic grade and who is Gao Peng really is. At the World Youth Monster Trainer Championship referee waiting room, Gao Peng walks toward the water dispenser to get some water. Then referee Lai tells Gao Peng that yesterday's news was all about him and is famous now. Gao Peng tells Lai to stop teasing him because it's only for a little while and everyone will forget his even exist after the tournament. Referee Guo said there are 32 contestants in the second round and the Huaxia team makes up only a quarter of the number while looking at the screen. Lai responded that the 32 contestant number is indeed lower than they expected. But it's not surprising. Although the Southeast Asian and African regions were less developed than their country before the cataclysm, their natural environment is very suitable for monsters to survive, so their familiars' fighting capabilities are very strong. Then Lai angrily wonders if he should say the African and Asian region familiars' fighting capabilities are very brutal. Guo also said he heard what Lai said before because he's from Kunju, near the Southeast Asian region, and the Asian train their familiars by pitting them against each other. Gao Peng was shocked to hear the familiars in Asian train their familiars by pitting them against each other. Then Gao Peng asked Guo to tell them more about it. Guo said all the major Southeast Asian countries were combined into a single region when the New World Allied government was formed. A lot of children lost their parents in the early days of the cataclysm and those orphans were placed in training camps by the government. When those orphans turned 18, the government would assign each of them their own familiars and let them fight it out until only one of them remained. The government only chose the strongest from every batch. As for the others, the chance for survival was slim. Gao Peng said it was so cruel. Then Lai said even though some excessive brutality is understandable since the world isn't the same as before, but he thinks it's still too much. Duo also said anyone who managed to come out of the government training regiment alive would be able to enter the upper echelons of society in the Southeast Asian region, and they would be guaranteed access to everything from money to women as long as they name it. And if they chose not to participate, these orphans wouldn't even have a chance of survival, so it's hard for them to judge them. Gao Peng wondered if they could also set up their own training camp, and he think it doesn't have to be so brutal since he can promote a familiar's grade straight away. And for the children like Junzong who lost their parents, that will give them a chance to survive in the dangerous world. Meanwhile, at Jai Huan Villa Lake, Da Zai is lying on the grass relaxing. Suddenly someone angrily asks what Da Zai is doing, which made Da Zai wonders if Gao Peng is there and starts finding Gao Peng. Then Da Zai saw a small camera while Gao Peng said Da Zai may not know what the power of technology is, but he already know that Da Zai had been slacking off all the time and he wanted to give Da Zai a chance to realize Da Zai's mistake. But since that's too tall an order for Da Zai, Gao Peng said from now on, for every hour Da Zai slack off, 1,000 more sets will be added to Da Zai training routine, which made Da Zai sad and tells Gao Peng that he can explain. Gao Peng angrily said he had been watching Da Zai this whole time and he can see Da Zai every action very clearly. Then Gao Peng asked Da Zai how Da Zai intended to explain. Da Zai was in fear and tried to explain. In the end, Da Zai just made a cute face and said he liked Gao Peng the most. But Gao Peng just smiled creepily and asked Da Zai if he thinks that will work on him. Then Da Zai tried to act cute at Gao Peng and continuously said Gao Peng is the best, which made Gao Peng said he'll let Da Zai mistake one slide. But Da Zai should get all 10,000 sets done by today. Then he warned Da Zai that he was watching him, so he shouldn't even think of slacking off. While Lai and Guo were watching Gao Peng from behind and said every genius has their own quirk and they should be more understanding. Lai noticed the noise which made him say their break went by so fast. Then he asked Gao Peng if he want to hear a piece of advice from his senior. Then Lai said among the 12 contestants from the Huaxia region, 8 of the contestants got through to the second round, and among those 8, 3 were eliminated in the matches in which Gao Peng were the referee, to which Gao Peng just said so. Lai responded that there won't be an issue right now, but if more contestants from the Huaxia region get eliminated under his watch, then there will be an issue because there are always people who like to find excuses to cover their own failures. Then Lai proceeds to walk away while saying a tall tree attracts the wind. That means a famous or rich person tends to attract criticism. Then Lai wishes Gao Peng good luck. Meanwhile, at the arena, the host said the third match of the second round between Gang Mu from African and Kim Mu-en from Korea was coming up next. On the other hand, Kim Mu with his beasts was being cheered by his fans. Gao Peng thinks Kim Mu Familiars is another silverback gorilla and swamp monster, which made Gao Peng wonder if that beast's appearance rate is too high, especially the swamp monster because almost every team has one. Then Gao Peng looked at the African contestant's familiar and said it was the first. The monster's name is Giant Tarsier. It was level 33 in perfect grade and its attribute is wood. The Tarsier's special characteristic is a spiritual brain. Effect 1. Passive effect said thanks to its spiritual brain, it is endowed with incredible psychic energy and telekinetic powers. Effect 2. Active effect said its spiritual brain also allows it to control low-level monsters that are mentally weaker, and its monster skill said despite its powerful mind, the Giant Tarsier has an incredibly weak body, so it's lax in melee combat. The other monster name is Rainforest Scorpion, who's controlled. It was level 29 in excellent grade and its attribute is water. Its ability is Fortified Exoskeleton level 1 and its weakness is earth. Gao Peng knows tarsiers are native to the Southeast Asian region and they are a shy species which usually feed off crickets and other insects. But the most interesting thing Gao Peng heard are tarsiers emotionally tethered to their habitats and they would die if they were removed from their homes for too long, to which Gao Peng wonder how did the tarsier sign a blood contract to become a familiar. Then Gang Mu called the tarsier mom and whispered something to it. Then the tarsier patted Gang Mu head. Gao Peng, who heard Gang Mu called the tarsier mom, is shocked. Gao Peng thinks he had heard of a special training method that involves pairing young children who have undergone special training with ape-like monsters that have recently lost a child. And through long-term cohabitation, those monsters gradually come to see those human children as their own children, which would make signing a blood contract with it much easier. But the most interesting thing is that those monster trainers will call their familiar mom, which means they are a foster child of their familiars and not a master. Gao Peng said it looks like that is the method the African contestant is using, and that's why Gang Mu was able to make the Giant Tarsier go against its own nature. To be merciless to oneself is what makes one ruthless. Then Gao Peng said the match started. The gorilla and the swamp monster, the tarsier and the scorpion, were looking at each other. Kai Mu thinks he hasn't seen a tarsier familiar before, so he should be careful. Then he orders his swamp monster to stop the scorpion. The swamp monster jumped toward the scorpion, but the scorpion used its skill and attacked the swamp monster, which made the swamp monster splash on the ground. But the swamp monster trapped the scorpion's hand, which made the scorpion confused and try to break free. Then Kim Mu saw the opening of his enemy and ordered his gorilla to attack the tarsier. Then the gorilla was going to punch the tarsier, but the tarsier used its telekinesis skill, which made the gorilla mind controlled. Gao Peng thinks contestant Kim's main attacker, the gorilla, was controlled that easily, and he knows that there's a huge difference in familiar's strength. Then the tarsier remembers Gang Mu words that the monster wants to hurt them and she must kill it. Then the tarsier angrily used its power and snapped its finger, which made the gorilla's head exploded. Kim Mu shouted to call his beast's name, but the tarsier heard Gang Mu say there was another bad guy and all bad guys must die. Then the tarsier walks toward Kim Mu and tried to control his mind, which made him say that there is something not right with the tarsier. On the other hand, Gang Mu look at Gao Peng while thinking Gao Peng, who withdraw from the tournament, really is a flower vase. He also wonders if Gao Peng not notice it and said he shouldn't be worried because his next. Suddenly, something attacked the tarsier's power, which made the tarsier falls back and Gang Mu shocked. Gao Peng look at Gang Mu and tells him that according to the rules, directly attacking his opponent is strictly forbidden, and that is his first warning, which made Gang Mu angry and swear that he'll definitely kill Gao Peng. Then Kim Mu raised his hand and said he surrender, which made Gao Peng announce that the winner of the third match is Gang Mu. Then Gang Mu tell his familiar that they defeated the bad guys. Then Gang Mu look at Gao Peng from behind and thinks even if his tarsier and Gao Peng's skeleton familiar were on the same level, his tarsier wouldn't be able to defeat it, and he also thinks ever since he was a child, he understood fully that if he wanted something, he would have to work for it and maybe he can have higher ambitions. After the tournament, Gao Peng was greeted by his schoolmates. Then Gao Peng said although he's respected, being a referee is surely boring. Then Gao Peng thinks although the rules forbid referees from bidding, it didn't say a referee's familiar can't bid, and if that is the case, Gao Peng had an idea. Meanwhile, Goldie was hanging in the fence, peeking at someone's window who currently showering in the bathroom. Suddenly Goldie's phone rang and made a duck ringtone, which the person in the shower and shouted whose bastard is peeking while someone is showering, to which Goldie panicked and jumped off the fence, then landed on the ground and started to run. Gao Peng asked Goldie what was it doing just now and why didn't it pick up the phone. Goldie responded that he was busy. Then Gao Peng tells Goldie that he wants Goldie to do something for him. Then Gao Peng orders Goldie to help him place a couple of bets. Gao Peng also tells Goldie not to worry because they'll definitely be making a lot of money from that, and if Goldie does that for him, he'll give Goldie 2 more dried fish every day for a whole month, which made Goldie agree in excitement. A few moments later, in Happy Lottery Imperial City Purple Sea region, at Purple Thorn Road branch, Goldie entered the place and which happily greeted by the man. But when the man looks at Goldie, he changes his expression to confusion. Then Goldie walked toward the man and showed him his cell phone. Inside the cell phone, the text said bet on Zhang Yi of the Huaxia region's victory in the 7th match of the 2nd round within 10 minutes. This made the man say betting on Zhang Yi winning within 10 minutes is an unpopular bet because Zhang Yi's opponent is the #1 contestant in the Yaju village of the Neon District, and he performed exceptionally well in the first round. On the other hand, Zhang Yi came in 9th place in the Huaxia region's preliminaries and barely scraped out a victory in the first round. The man also said Zhang Yi's betting odds are 1 to 16. And 1 to 98 for a 10 minutes victory, which means that no one believes Zhang Yi can win. Then the man showed Goldie a bill that have 100 pictures printed. Then he asked Goldie how much Goldie want to bet. Goldie takes out all of his money inside the bag and gives it to the man forcefully, but the man thinks Goldie is rich. After the man counted Goldie's money, the man said Goldie money is 5,129.70 alliance credits. Then the man asks Goldie how much Goldie wants to wager, which made Goldie confused. Then the man gives the lottery ticket to Goldie while reminding Goldie not to lose the lottery ticket. Then Goldie happily walked out of the store and said he did it. The man opened the other door room while saying with that kind of betting odds, the Duck's master would earn a lot if they win. But the man said how could the Duck possibly win? Then the man tells his coworker who currently watching television that he had something funny to tell them, and he said someone bet for Zhang Yi to win. Suddenly, the host announces the first World Youth Monster Trainer Championship, the 7th match, Liu Sheng from the Neon District versus Zhang Yi from the Huaxia region. Zhang Yi wins, which made the man curse in shock. After the competition, in a mountain villa of the Southern Sky Group Capital Branch, Gao Peng tiredly said his back, and when Gao Peng entered the house, he got hit by Goldie. While on the ground, Goldie said he can eat so many dried fish. Then he said Gao Peng is so cool and the coolest duck he had seen among those without feathers. Gao Peng asks Goldie if Goldie gets the money, but Goldie holds it back and said the money is for him. Gao Peng stand up and said he know it was money, so he won't steal it from him. Then Gao Peng called Goldie a little money grubber. Then Goldie asks Gao Peng if he has any more insider information. Gao Peng patted Goldie's head and tells Goldie that gambling is bad and he just let him place that bet for fun and help Goldie earn some lunch money. Then Gao Peng reminds Goldie that it is better not to get itself addicted to gambling. Then Gao Peng tells Goldie to sleep early and don't start getting any funny ideas. Suddenly Gao Peng phone's ring. Then Gao Peng answered the phone and started walking away, leaving Ducky disappointed. Gao Peng tells to the person on the other line that he knows Zhang Xiao and his is one of the Huaxia region's contestants. Gao Peng also said Zhang Xiao got skills and is full of vigor. He also has high expectations for him. Then Gao Peng said he can make time to have a meal with him after his match. Then Gao Peng hangs up while saying he's really famous now because he's the heir to the Southern Sky Group, a Lord Tier familiar owner who will turn 19 in a month, and a genius monster breeder, so he thinks it would be weird if other people didn't want to curry favor. Then Gao Peng throws his suit to the side while saying in their kind of world, the strong dominate, and pulling that kind of small trick in a competition like that. Then Gao Peng decided to shower because there are still quite a few matches the next day. On the other hand, Goldie was listening on the side of Gao Peng room door, smiling while thinking if Gao Peng doesn't want to give him insider information, he'll remember Zhang Xiao's name. The next morning, in the arena, the host announced the first World Youth Monster Trainer Championship. In the third and first matches, Zhang Yi wins. Then Zhang Yi looked at his enemy who currently crying while thinking luckily Gao Peng isn't the referee for his match and that the 6 contestants who were eliminated indeed lacked skill. But among the 8 contestants that were eliminated, the 6 were eliminated in matches where Gao Peng was the referee. Suddenly referee Guo tells Gao Peng that he'll leave the rest to Gao Peng because he'll be resting in the break room, to which Gao Peng agreed and made Zhang Yi shocked. Zhang Yi waved and greeted Gao Peng, which made Gao Peng think Zhang Yi's thoughts are written all over his face, and Gao Peng said he's also from the Huaxia region and he wouldn't betray his own people. He also wonders if the people who believe in the rumor really have a brain. Then Gao Peng looked at his tablet while thinking when the contestant isn't strong enough, do the people really expect him, the referee, to get on the field to fight for them? Then Gao Peng just brushed it off and decided to take a look at the information of the contestant in the next match. The data showed a girl named Daisy whose region of origin was in the Great Britain region, and Daisy ranking is second place in the Great Britain preliminaries. Also, Daisy's familiar name is a sea dragon, which made Gao Peng said the sea dragon is an amphibious monster whose long neck and slender limbs are reminiscent of the long-extinct plesiosaur. It can only bring out its full potential in shallow waters, but the tournament is held on dry land, where the sea dragon's mobility is severely impeded. Then Gao Peng looked at the tournament schedule and said that the Skyfire Hound just now has a high chance of encountering the sea dragon, and although the environment isn't ideal, the sea dragon has an advantage with its size and attribute, and if they rally matched against each other, the Skyfire Hound will have a tough time winning. An hour later, Gao Leshi lose in 11th place, Long Binyu lose in 7th place, and Jun Moi lose in 5th place. The host announced that Huaxia region's last contestant Zhang Yi and contestant Daisy from the Great Britain region, who have inexorably climbed up the ranks, will be facing off against each other in the final match to decide once and for all who the strongest trainer in the current year's World Youth Monster Trainer Championship is. On the other hand, Gao Peng was watching the screen while thinking that he was right, because it really is the Skyfire Hounds against the Sea Dragon. Then Gao Peng opens his advanced gadget while saying he wonders if his familiars are training properly today. Meanwhile, at Villa Lake, Gao Peng called Goldie, who currently relaxing in a chair using the camera, which made Goldie shocked. Goldie fearfully called Gao Peng's name, but Gao Peng said he sees Goldie has been learning from Da Zai. Then Gao Peng tells Goldie to train well, and if he is able to gain 7 levels in a month, he'll give him 300,000 alliance credits for Goldie's effort, and he will be able to eat anything he wants. But Goldie waves his hand and responded that he doesn't need to train because he'll be getting a lot of money soon. Goldie also said he's exceptionally smart because he bet on Zhang Xiao. Gao Peng asks Goldie if Goldie went and bought a lottery ticket, and he asks Goldie how he buy the lottery tickets because the boss probably couldn't understand what Goldie was saying. Then Goldie showed the writing to Gao Peng and said Stripey wrote it for him because Stripey is a cultured spider and Stripey writing is really pretty. Stripey heard Goldie telling Gao Peng is the one who write it and hits Goldie's head while telling Goldie that he promised he wouldn't sell him out. Gao Peng asks Goldie why did he bet on Zhang Xiao and if he's daft because Zhang Xiao lost that morning and all his money is all flushed down the drain now. Then Gao Peng said in a teasing way that Goldie lost all his lunch money, which made Goldie shocked, turning into stone while Stripey walks away from him angrily. Then Gao Peng sits on the sofa while telling Goldie to stop being sad and that Goldie should train well. Gao Peng also tells Goldie if he can gain 7 levels in a month, he'll give him 300,000 alliance credits, and for every level, he'll increase his reward so he can earn way more that way than by gambling. But Goldie, who currently working out now, tells Gao Peng that he doesn't want money and he just wants to know who defeated Zhang Xiao, which made Gao Peng ask what is Goldie trying to do. Then Gao Peng said it was a fair match and the contestant who defeated Zhang Xiao was stronger than him unless they fixed the winner. He didn't do anything wrong. But Goldie just cryingly lift the dumbbells, to which Gao Peng said as long as Goldie train hard, he can guarantee that Goldie will be able to eat the most expensive duck treats in the world. Suddenly Lai asks Gao Peng if he's really not considering refereeing the final match. Gao Peng responded no way and said there are already lots of people on the internet accusing him of being against Zhang Yi, and if he loses the battle, people will definitely be throwing more shit on his way. A few minutes later, at the arena, Zhang Yi and Daisy together with their familiars are on the stage while the host announces that the long-awaited finals of the first World Youth Monster Trainer Championship will begin. Zhang Yi familiar are the monster named Goldenback Wild Boar. Its grade is normal in level 30 and its attribute is gold, and the monster is named Blackthorn Opium Poppy. Its grade is excellent in level 27 and its attributes are wood and illusion. The Poppy skill is Deadly Paralysis level 1. Also, the Skyfire Hound. On the other hand, Gao Peng was looking at Zhang Yi familiar from above while thinking the Blackthorn Opium Poppy has an interesting skill, and it can emit a type of gas that makes any creature that inhales it go into a hyperactive state and lose its sense of pain. Then, it'll wrap its vines around its prey and kill it. Gao Peng knows that to use the Blackthorn Opium Poppy as a supporting monster is clever, but Gao Peng's only concern is whether or not the other monsters would become addicted to the Blackthorn Opium Poppy's gas, and if they become addicted it will become a big problem. Meanwhile, contestant Daisy has sent her signature familiars named Sea Dragon along with the 2 Earthen Rivers Otters. The Earthen River Otter grade is excellent and it was level 28 and 29 and its attributes are earth and water. Also, the Sea Dragon and Diplocoric variant grade is epic and its level is 34. Its skills are Hardened Scale level 2, Dynamic Visual Acuity level 2, and Water Elemental Mastery level 2. Its attribute is water and its weakness is electricity. The Sea Dragon's special characteristics are Diplocoric and innate skills. Passive Effect 1 set increases dynamic vision and improves visual sharpness. Effect 2 and Effect 3 are inactivated. Its Heart of the Beast. Effect 1 passive effect set improves overall physical strength. Effect Attack 2, active effect is said to give itself a burst of power for a short period of time. This made Gao Peng think he only thought humans would only have Diplocoric, and it even has unknown skill effects. Gao Peng looked at the sea dragon while thinking it was like Dummy's blood thread heart. The sea dragon probably has an organ that has an extraordinary ability. Gao Peng thinks he can tell that kind of skill isn't some cheap good that they can get at the market judging by all those inactivated effects. Then Gao Peng silently tells Zhang Yi not to lose, otherwise people will blame it on him again. On the other hand, Lai said the match began. Then Zhang Yi immediately ordered his poppy to spread the pollen, which the poppy immediately did. The pollen was spread to the boar and Skyfire Hound, which made the Skyfire and boar strong. Then the boar screamed angrily and ran toward the two otters. Then Daisy orders his otter to use the shield wall, to which the otter immediately follows and blocks the boar attack. Daisy thinks the white jade basalt is very hard and is rich in earth elements, so the earthen wall created by the otters is also very sturdy. Otherwise, the wall would have been broken by the boar. Suddenly, the Skyfire jumped behind the boar and launched an attack, but the sea dragon used its tail to hit the Skyfire. Then it looked at the boar and attacked the boar using its claws, which made the wall also broken. Gao Peng thinks Daisy's sea dragon is indeed extraordinary, but then Gao Peng looked at the lightly injured but excited boar who currently looking at the sea dragon. Then Gao Peng said after losing its sense of pain, it's hard to make the boar lose its will to fight, and if Daisy wants to win, she'll have to really up her game. Then the Skyfire angrily screamed to boost its power and launched an attack at the sea dragon while the sea dragon was looking at the boar. But the sea dragon noticed it and used its skill to change the terrain, which changed its surrounding into the sea and made the boar, who still charging forward, slow, and the Skyfire stopped its attack. The Skyfire angrily looks at the sea dragon, who currently looking at the Skyfire too. Then the sea dragon uses its water pillar to stop the Skyfire burst attack. Gao Peng thinks that's not it, because the water pillars are just distractions and the sea dragon's body is hidden under the water, and the sea water's real target is the boar. Zhang Yi notices it and orders his boar to come back quickly, but it's too late because the dragon bites the boar. Gao Peng flinched and thinks the sea dragon bite surely killed the boar, and Gao Peng said illegal drugs are really harmful. Gao Peng also thinks the Skyfire Hound has very good battle instincts, so even under the influence of the gas, it can still perform well, but the boar brain has been turned to mush by the gas, and that isn't a viable way to battle. Zhang Yi angrily orders his Skyfire to kill Daisy Earthen River Otter, and said since Daisy killed one of his familiars, he'll kill one of Daisy's familiars as well. Then the Skyfire launched an attack on the otters, but the sea dragon saw the Skyfire, then activated its skill and attacked the Skyfire using its tails from behind, which made the Skyfire Hound fly back into the air heavily injured. Then the Skyfire landed on the ground shaking in pain, to which Zhang Yi was shocked and called his beast's name. Then Daisy and her sea dragon look at Zhang Yi. Then Zhang Yi said he admit his defeat. The host announced the match is over and the winner is the Great Britain contestant named Daisy, to which the audience cheered. On the other hand, the reporter asks his boss how should they report the tournament when they lost. The boss whispered that they should change the topic and just throw all the responsibility for the tournament loss on Gao Peng, because he was sure it'll blow up. A few hours later, many reports and articles pop out saying Gao Peng refused to be a contestant to be a referee for the matter of personal gain versus his country's glory, and Gao Peng was a traitor for eliminating his own countrymen. Gao Peng looked at his phone and thinks as he expected, he became the scapegoat, and he said it was a pity because if he had participated as a contestant, the result probably would have been different. Suddenly Goldie called Gao Peng, which made Gao Peng ask Goldie why he is there. Then Gao Peng smiled and said since Goldie is there, he has an idea. Meanwhile, at the award ceremony, Lai announced that after a series of fierce competitions, the final winner had been decided, and Lai said he hereby announced the winner of the World Youth Trainer Championship is. But before Lai can finish his words, they heard Goldie's steps, which made Daisy look at Gao Peng, wondering why Gao Peng familiar is on stage. On the other hand, the chief referee whispered to Zhu that the Southern Sky Group sent a request just now and Gao Peng wants something, but he thinks it was a bit inappropriate. Zhu responded that it was normal for young people to be impulsive, and he ordered the chief referee to tell the others to cooperate. On the other hand, Goldie pointed at Daisy and said Daisy is the one who caused him to lose his lunch money, which made Daisy confused. Then Gao Peng tests his mic if everyone can hear him. When Gao Peng confirmed that they didn't cut the signal of his microphone, he said firstly, he want to congratulate Daisy on becoming the champion of the World Youth Trainer Championship. However, his little friend Goldie doesn't feel satisfied with the result. Gao Peng also said his little Goldie is just turned 1.5 years old and is now at mid-commander tier. However, the contestants and the familiars that were chosen to come there to compete are the best of the best from their regions, so how can a peasant duck from the countryside compare? Then Gao Peng asks Daisy if she can help him and asks her sea dragon to teach his little duck a lesson. Daisy forcefully smiles while thinking she won't gain anything from winning, But if she loses, her reputation would be greatly affected, and the champion of the World Youth Trainer Championship not being able to defeat a peasant duck from the countryside was bad for her reputation. Then Daisy notices the organizers aren't giving any response, which means they've already approved of Gao Peng's request, and this could even be the organizers' idea in the first place, so she knows she won't be able to refuse Gao Peng. Daisy smiled and said she accept Gao Peng's challenge, but she dares say she won't be able to teach Gao Peng Duck anything because it was a familiar of Monster Trainer who has a Lord tier familiar, after all. Gao Peng thinks Daisy's words are sarcasm, but he determined that Daisy is about to become a victim because it's understandable for Daisy to want to complain. Then Gao Peng pointed to Goldie, who was currently angry, and ordered it to go. Then Goldie ran toward the sea dragon. The sea dragon once again moves and turned its surroundings into water while Goldie was launching at it. But Goldie uses his skill to make the water in his way disappear. Then Goldie jumps and kicks the sea dragon's face, which made Daisy shocked and called her familiar's name. The sea dragon used its tail to attack Goldie, which made Goldie thrown to the wall. Then the sea dragon immediately uses its long neck and tried to bite Goldie. Fortunately, Goldie avoided it, but the sea dragon immediately attacked Goldie again using its claws, which made Goldie thrown on the ground. Daisy looks at Goldie and thinks something is not right because the light around the yellow duck's body is very strange, and she notices Goldie has become more buff. Then Goldie kicks the chin of the sea dragon while asking it if it hasn't eaten yet because its attacks are not enough. The sea dragon got angry and attacked Goldie using its claws, then used its tails to make Goldie fall to the ground. Then the sea monster attacked Goldie, who's on the ground continuously. This made Daisy thinks the little yellow duck can't possibly endure such a fierce attack, and she confidently thinks she win and Gao Peng isn't anything special. Suddenly Daisy was shocked to see the little duck is growing bigger. Goldie lifts the sea dragon's claws angrily while thanking it for its attacks. Then Goldie punched the sea dragon, which made the sea dragon fly in the air. Then Goldie uses its skill and ready itself. Then Goldie jumps and punched the sea dragon in the air while saying his skill called Ultimate Fist of Destruction, which made the sea dragon knock out and landed on the ground. Goldie happily flexes his muscle while Daisy repeatedly says she admits defeat. Then the audience cheered for Gao Peng and said that is Huaxia region's strongest. The media always like to spread fake rumors, and they knew that the media were just trying to find excuses. On the other hand, Gao Peng tells Daisy not to worry. Although the sea dragon's condition doesn't look too good, it just bruises and it'd be fine after a few days of rest. Then Gao Peng handed his laboratory ticket to Daisy and said Daisy can come to join him at his laboratory anytime. Gao Peng also apologized for what happened, but Daisy angrily storms out while saying she's from a rich and powerful family in Great Britain, so why would she go all the way to the Huaxia region to join another person's laboratory? Gao Peng just smiled and think in less than 5 years, his laboratory will become one of the world's leading laboratories. Gao Peng also thinks Daisy chose to ignore him today, but he was sure Daisy will end up wanting to curry his favor in the future. Meanwhile, at the villa, Jai Huan was happily preparing the liang pie and tangerine sweet that Gao Peng favorites when his phone rang. Jai Huan picked the phone and he already knew who is it. Then Jai Huan transferred the call to the advanced gadget, and the colonel said he had a situation over there and he know Gao Peng has just come back. But he wouldn't have called Jai Huan if it wasn't an emergency. Jai Huan responded he know that there would be trouble every time the colonel called. Then Jai Huan asked the colonel to tell him what is the situation. The colonel responded that the things in the mausoleum of the first emperor have come to life, which made Jai Huan stand up in shock. Meanwhile, in the suburbs of the Lingtong district, at the northeast of Chang'an City, the captain looked at something while saying that it was the 10th day. Then the man behind him asked if the tomb of the first emperor was really in there. Suddenly the ground shook, which made the military panic. Then the ground started to break. Then the thunder light showed something from afar, which the military man asked what is it. Suddenly the statue starts saying a words, "O strong warriors of Qin, save their nation together, and battles shall not cease until their blood bleeds dry," repeatedly. The chief military shockingly said the terracottas have come to life. Then the main mausoleum collapsed, showing a coffin that was currently being dragged by the 2 red horses. Then one of the military men shouted at everyone to be alert, and he tells his comrade to prepare to fire. Then the military golden god beast also arrived at the place. Suddenly the person inside the coffin angrily said a mere little yellow bird dares to call itself god. Then a few minutes later, the military noticed a dragon in the sky, and they said it was the white dragon and Jai Huan has arrived. On the other hand, one military tells terracottas that it was not their intention to disturb nor become enemies with their majesty. However, the land in front of their majesty is a holy and impregnable land of the alliance government, and if their majesty really wants to infiltrate the land, they will also not shy away from war. A person inside the coffin said a dragon, while the military man said if their majesty is willing to ally with them, they are willing to provide their majesty with the latest information about the current world. The person inside the coffin responded, "Granted." Then the military reported that the target has retreated back to the mountainside and they should continue to monitor the situation. Then the colonel tells Jai Hyun that he's getting tougher as he ages and he'd believe it if he said he was going to live for another 100 years. Jai Hyun responded that the colonel is right because he still wants to hold Gao Peng's child after all. The colonel tells Jai Hyun to stop showing off his grandson because everyone there had a grandson. Then the colonel tells Jai Hyun to hurry back to his villa. Jai Hyun touches White and tells the colonel to take care over there because that thing inside the tomb of the first emperor gives off an evil vibe. Jai Hyun also tells the colonel to call him if anything happens. Meanwhile, on the lakeside, Flamey was peacefully enjoying the water. Suddenly something launched into the water which made the water shake uncontrollably and made Flamey confused. Then White pop out looking at Flamey, who explaining that he was just checking the temperature of the water for White. Then White dive under the water which made Flamey fly away to the lake. But in the end Flamey was collapsed on the water which made Gao Peng laugh and said his familiars is all the same. Gao Peng thinks his grandfather came back safely and he realizes his grandfather has to go deal with trouble personally every time there's an emergency. And it looks like Jai Hyun has some kind of agreement with the government. Perhaps that is one of the reasons why the Southern Sky Group is as successful as it is today. The alliance government needs his grandfather's strength, so Jai Hyun is an important asset to the government, and that is a good thing for the survival and development of the company. But it also means his grandfather will be forced to put himself in the face of danger, and who knows how strong of an opponent his grandfather would have to meet one day. Then Gao Peng gets his phone while thinking maybe he could train a trustworthy Lord-tier monster trainer for the Southern Sky Group, and that would both strengthen the company and reduce the number of times his grandfather has to be sent out. Then Gao Peng thinks first that person has to be trustworthy and it'll be stupid to train someone to become a Lord-tier monster trainer just to have them betray the Southern Sky Group like the Sly Man before. Then Gao Peng searched to his phone while thinking that person doesn't have to be loyal to him and it's fine if that person is only loyal to his grandfather. A few hours ago, inside the laboratory, Wang Yi was walking with his horse while thinking he received an order last night to work under Gao Peng, and Jai Hyun is the one who gave him his current life, so he's not supposed to complain, but being treated as an object that can be gifted to another makes him feel a little hurt. Then Wang Yi saw Gao Peng and said his reporting to Gao Peng. Gao Peng happily greeted Captain Wang Yi. Then the horse excitedly greeted Gao Peng, which made Wang Yi ask his beast who is his real master. Then Gao Peng happily said he'll call Wang Yi Old Wang. Then he asks Wang Yi if he wants a Lord-tier familiar, which made Wang Yi shocked and asked what did Gao Peng say. Gao Peng tells Wang Yi that he can give him a Lord-tier familiar but there are no guarantees and if he works hard, he'll better his chances. Wang Yi confidently agree, which made Gao Peng tell Wang Yi not to rush to agree yet because great power comes with great responsibility, and once Wang Yi has a Lord-tier familiar, he'll need to bear greater responsibilities. Gao Peng tells Wang Yi that he'll be pushed to the top and become the Southern Sky Group's new hero. Also, in an emergency situation, he'll be sent out to deal with some trouble on the company's behalf. Wang Yi responded that he understand. Then Gao Peng turned around while saying he hoped Wang Yi won't disappoint his grandfather. Then he asks Wang Yi to follow him. Gao Peng brought Wang Yi to where the female spider was. Then Gao Peng introduced Wang Yi to the female spider as their long-lost friend. Then Gao Peng tells the female spider that she had failed to promote in the past and if nothing changes, she'll be stuck at her current level for her whole life. However, Gao Peng said he had a way to help the female spider finish her evolution. Then Gao Peng ordered Stripey to translate the female spider words. The female spider talked. Then Stripey tells Gao Peng that the female spider say it won't eat Gao Peng if he can help her finish evolving, and she'll also forgive Gao Peng for capturing her. Gao Peng smiled, then called Dummy using his telepathy. Meanwhile, at the side lake, Dummy was with his daughter reading a book. Suddenly he hears Gao Peng calling him. Then Dummy immediately ran, which made his daughter confused. Dummy arrived where Gao Peng is, then looks at the female spider angrily behind Gao Peng, while Gao Peng tells Dummy that they should help the beautiful female spider to understand its current situation. A few moments later, the female spider is beaten up by Dummy. Then Gao Peng tells the female spider that he doesn't have much patience and he gives the female spider to choose to submit and live to become a Lord-tier monster, or she can continue to resist because he doesn't mind adding 1/2 Lord-tier monster core crystal to his collection. The spider shakingly talked and Stripey translated that the female spider said it agrees to sign the blood contract. Then Gao Peng pointed to the spider and looked at Wang Yi to say that Wang Yi can try signing a contract with it. Wang Yi touched and tried to make a contract with the female spider, but Wang Yi's hand pushed back, to which Gao Peng asked Wang Yi what was wrong. Wang Yi responded that the female spider is resisting a bit, so he need to try a few more times. Gao Peng looked at Stripey, which Stripey immediately understands. Then Stripey hit the female spider while telling it to hurry up and sign the blood contract if it doesn't want another beating. Huang Ye tried to make a contract with the female spider again and happily tells Gao Peng that he had successfully signed the blood contract. Gao Peng mixes the two mixtures in one tube, then gives it to the female spider. The female spider's eyes glow, then it stands up glowing, breaking all the chains in it, which made Stripey ask in shock, how can there be such a tall spider? The stone slowly wraps the female spider, and a few minutes later, the female spider is completely wrapped by the stone. Gao Peng said the earth has wrapped around the female spider and the solution is working very quickly. Also, he said the female spider is already starting to evolve. Then Gao Peng started to walk away while telling Huang Ye that the evolution will take some time and that if Huang Ye is worried, he can wait there until the female spider evolution finishes. To which Huang Ye thanked Gao Peng. Meanwhile, in the mountains on the outskirts of Yuzhou City, people in white hood arrived where the mountain spirit was. The girl asks the man if the mountain is the mountain spirit that is mentioned in the Bible. The man responded it should be, and who knew that the mythical mountain spirits would appear. Another man from behind said there was nothing to be shocked about. Then he asked if they have seen their Uncle Jerry's griffin, which made the girl angry. Then the man from the black hood stops the man and the girl from quarreling and said if the mountain spirits are real, then that means the records in the Bible are most likely real too. So, all the other creatures that are recorded in the Bible are back at headquarters. Then the man in the black hood orders his familiar to come to him. Then the man rides to his familiar and flies toward the spirit mountain, while saying they should have a talk with the mountain spirit. Meanwhile, at the laboratory, the stone that wrapped the female spider moved. Then the spider's claw popped out of the stone. On the other hand, Gao Peng, who was looking at the monitor, wondered if the female spider is about to finish evolving. Gao Peng goes down to where Huang Ye and the female spider were. Then he asks Huang Ye if he likes his new familiar. Huang responded that the experiments worked, and he excitedly said he never thought there would come a day he would have a Lord tier familiar. The female spider's new monster name is a horrifying murderous female spider in Lord tier. It was level 41 and excellent grade, and its attribute is rock. Its state is healthy and happy, and its weaknesses are 1. Wood type, and 2. Platinum King Radish. The female spider skills are Spider Silk Strengthening level 2. Hardened Skin level 2, and Sharpened Spider Claws level 1. Gao Peng tells Huang Ye to train it well, and if Huang Ye wants to show it off, he can take it on a walk around Yuzhou City. Huang Ye responded he understand and thanked Gao Peng. A few minutes later, Gao Peng was back in his laboratory and he heard his cell phone ringing on the table. He picks up his phone and saw that Qingzhi is the one who was calling him. Gao Peng wonders what Qingzhi calling for when she's on her leave. On the other hand, Qingzhi greets Gao Peng, but Gao Peng just asks her what is it. Qingzhi, who currently looking at someone, responded that she has a friend who wants her to introduce her to him. Her friend is also from the monster trainer department and she thinks her friend is also called one of the 4 stars of Yuzhou. Gao Peng asks Qingzhi if she's talking about Xinrui. Qingzhi asks Gao Peng if he knows Xinrui. Gao Peng responded he heard about Xinrui before. Gao Peng thinks he remembers that Xinrui is a world hunter, the one that travels in deep uninhabited mountains and explores unknown wastelands on a daily basis. So for Lin Xinrui to make a name for herself in that field means that Xinrui is the real deal, and if the Southern Sky Group could recruit Xinrui, it'd benefit the company greatly. Then Gao Peng tells Qingzhi that he's fine with her request and that they should meet downtown later, but Qingzhi should come too. On the other hand, Qingzhi tells Xinrui not to worry because her boss is very easygoing. Xinrui responded alright and thanked Qingzhi. 20 minutes later, Xinrui and Qingzhi saw something in the sky, then it fall down on the ground. Gao Peng asks Flamey why did he suddenly lose balance. Flamey apologized to Gao Peng and explained that it was not his fault for not flying properly, it was because he suddenly felt something hit his head while he was flying. Gao Peng remembers that after Dummy evolved to Lord tier, Dummy gained a new life-saving ability named Soul Chain. The Soul Chain allows him to chain his soul to a familiar he signed a blood contract with, and the contract can't be changed within the first month of it being signed. Then after chaining his soul to a familiar for a period of time, the soul chain will increase his soul strength, and if an enemy wanted to attack his soul, they would then be facing the combined soul strength of both him and the Lord tier familiars. Gao Peng thinks the soul chain should be a pretty strong ability and he wanted to try it out on Flamey, but Flamey's reaction is shocking. Then Gao Peng started to walk away while thinking that he shouldn't tell Flamey the truth or Flamey will be nagging him all day. On the other hand, Flamey told Gao Peng that Gao Peng have to believe him because he really didn't do it on purpose, and Flamey said it felt like some idiot suddenly punched him in the head and it really hurt. A few minutes later, Gao Peng arrived at the restaurant and meet Qingzhi and Xinrui. Gao Peng apologizes for making them wait. Qingzhi responded they didn't wait long, then she asked Gao Peng to have a seat. When they seated, Gao Peng said they were all busy people, so they should let cut to the chase. Then he asked Xinri what she wanted. Xinri asks Gao Peng if he knows about the Platinum Hands. Gao Peng responded that if Xinri is referring to that notorious extremist group, he had heard about that group before. The Platinum Hands are based in Jinsha. It's made up of fanatic followers of the Holy Luotian, and those people love to use tactics like human shields and suicide bombing. Also, those people don't care about the lives of innocent citizens. Xinri said those peoples are madmen who can't be reasoned with. Xinri also tells Gao Peng that a few days ago, someone spotted people who resemble the Platinum Hands on the outskirts of Yuzhu City where the mountain spirits are gathered. This made Gao Peng wonder why those Platinum Hands can't just stay in Jinsha and why those people need to come all the way to Yuzhu. Xinri said putting aside of Platinum Hands' craziness, the scarier is the fact that there are at least a few hundred mountain spirits, and among them, even the weakest has the strength of a Lord tier. Also, if the mountain spirit were riled up by the Platinum Hands, Yuzhu City would be crushed flat in an instant. Gao Peng tells Xinri to just spit it out, and he asks her why did she come to him, or rather, what she hopes to gain from him. Xinri responded that her goal is very simple. She doesn't like the Platinum Hands, so she doesn't want them to be roaming around Yuzhu. But she also doesn't want to deal with the Platinum Hands personally, so she hopes powerful groups like the Southern Sky Group could act as the protector of Yuzhu. Gao Peng thinks the situation is embarrassing because he thought Xinri got to know about his ability from King Zhai, and wanted him to help promote her familiar's grade. But it turns out Xinri was aiming for the Southern Sky Group. Gao Peng also thinks he was lucky that he didn't try to recruit Xinri out of the blue. Then Gao Peng tells Xinri that the Southern Sky Group accepts her request, but Xinri should let him give her a small piece of advice. Then Gao Peng handed his laboratory card to Xinri while saying the Southern Sky Group's laboratory standard is already at the world level, and if Xinri joined the Southern Sky Group, all of her familiars will receive a chance to promote their grades for free. Xinri accepted the card and said Gao Peng offer is generous. Then she asked what she need to give in exchange, but Xinri cleared herself first and said she only liked girls. Gao Peng said that currently there are only 3 world hunters in Yuzhu, so Xinri is very valuable. Gao Peng tells Xinri that they can sign a temporary contract first, and after her first familiar has successfully evolved, they'll decide if they want to sign an official contract. Then Gao Peng stands up to leave while telling Xinri to give his offer some thought and that he'll be waiting for her answer. While walking, Gao Peng take his phone and said seeing how the Platinum Hands sneaking around like that, their power level shouldn't be that strong. Even so, he should go confirm it himself. Then Gao Peng contacted Huang Yi and asked if he was at home. Then Gao Peng ordered Huang Yi to bring Dummy, Stripey, Flamey, and Goldie and meet him at the North Road exit. Suddenly Dazai appeared on the screen angrily telling Gao Peng that he didn't bring him and that Gao Peng is biased and not fair. Gao Peng asked Dazai if he was as strong as Dummy, which made Dazai confused. Then Gao Peng continued to ask Dazai if he can fly as fast as Flamey or if he is as durable as Stripey, which made Dazai sad. But Gao Peng still asks Dazai again if he can defeat Goldie, which made Dazai start sulking. Gao Peng lecture and tells Dazai that he give them the same training environment. But Dazai slack off during training, so he's the weaker than his other familiars by a whole lot. Then Gao Peng asks Dazai how can he bring him. Also, Gao Peng ordered Dazai to stay at home and focus on training. Goldie comforts Dazai while telling Dazai not to worry because he'll protect Gao Peng. But Dazai just ran away crying while saying they always bully him, which made Goldie confused. Gao Peng hang up and said Dazai should just stay at home because their mission will be really dangerous. A few moments later, outside of the Yuzhu City jungle, Gao Peng and Huang Yi with their beasts were running toward where the mountain spirits were. Suddenly Huang Yi was shocked and said something was not right. Then he tells Gao Peng that all that's left there is a large crater. Gao Peng responded that mountain spirits are lazy in nature, so mountain spirits won't move without valid reasons. Then Gao Peng wondered if could it be that the Platinum Hands have already made their move. Then Gao Peng looked at Flamey while saying they'll chase, and he wants Flamey to fly into the sky and alert them if he finds any traces of mountain spirits or human activities, to which Flamey immediately agreed. Then Flamey flies to the sky. Flamey reported to Gao Peng that Flamey see them and they are so many. Gao Peng responded so many what? Flamey said to Gao Peng that he sees so many mountain spirits in one place. Gao Peng thinks that those Platinum Hands really have a method that attracts the mountain spirits, and Gao Peng think that if they use that method in Yuzhu that place will turn into dust. Then Gao Peng tells Flamey that don't expose the fact that he is his familiar. Then Gao Peng orders Flamey that he should act as a monster in the wild that sensed a lot of mountain spirits in front of him. Then Gao Peng tells Flamey that Flamey panicked and fell from the sky, which Flamey immediately understood. Then Flamey acted and said so many mountain spirits, how scary. They should run away. Then Flamey died while falling from the sky. The man in the hood saw Flamey falling from the sky and questioned himself if he see a one-legged bird familiar. The man also said normal monster would definitely not dare to come closer after sensing so many Lord tier monsters around here, but it flew so close. Then the girl said maybe Flamey is just dumb. The man in the black hood orders the other man to ignore it because their mission is about to begin. Suddenly the mountain spirits release lava, while the man in the black hood tells the mountain spirits to evolve and may the mountain spirits be blessed by the holy Luotan. On the other hand, a bee flies toward the man in the black hood who currently praying. Then the bee goes inside the man's black hood. But before the bee bites the man, the monster in the man's back eats it, which made the man stripped and he saw Gao Peng and Huang Ye coming toward them. The man kneeled on the ground, which made the other man panic and ask if he's okay. Then the man said they have company. When the man has done wearing his clothes, he orders his winged thunder ape to go and entertain their guest. Meanwhile, Stripey was flying back to Gao Peng while asking Gao Peng how is his acting skill, to which Gao Peng give Flamey an okay sign. Suddenly something was going to attack Flamey, then Flamey uses his skill, then Flamey uses his feathers to block the attack. While Dummy and Stripey protect Gao Peng, who currently wondering if they were found out. Flamey said he can't hold the attack any longer, then Huang Ye order his female spider to use the elemental shield, to which the female spider immediately followed and blocked the attack. Flamey landed on the ground crying because his prettiest feathers disappeared. Goldie notices sad Flamey and gives his feather clothes to it. The man said since Flamey had seen it, he can't leave, then he attacked Flamey again. But Goldie pushed Flamey away and angrily used his forbidden domain. But Goldie's forbidden domain didn't have an effect and Goldie got hit by the attack, which made Gao Peng called Goldie name in shock. Gao Peng walked toward Goldie while thinking even the forbidden domain isn't able to neutralize the attack. Although it activated its passive, it knocked Goldie out. Then Gao Peng realizes the attack is the strength of the Lord tier. The man thinks Goldie is useless now, and as for the other two Lord tier familiars, he flicked his finger, then the monster showed itself at Gao Peng, who made Gao Peng shocked. The monster's name is a wood peacock. It was level 44 in perfect grade and its attribute is wood. Its skills are plant manipulation level 3 and fast healing level 2. Also, the peacock's special characteristic is a tree of life. Effect 1, passive effect said increases the host's manipulation of plant-type monsters by 1 level. Effect 2, active effect said fully activates the healing effect of the tree of life and can create a life domain within a certain range. Also, all life forms recognized by the wood peacock within the range will obtain a healing effect equivalent to 1/3 of the wood peacock's own healing effect. Effect 3, active effect said fully activates the life force of all wood types and all large plants will receive life activation within a range, but effect 2 will be unusable within a certain time frame after use. The man tells Gao Peng to allow him to repent for the sins he had committed. He felt he has to let him know who exactly is the person who is sending him to meet Saint Luotian. Then the man said the person sending Gao Peng to repent in front of Saint Luotian is the greatest bishop in the Platinum Hands Order, the Forest of Life, Bishop Garu. On the other hand, Gao Peng thinks the peacock is a perfect grade Lord tier familiar, moreover, it's a healing and support type. Gao Peng also knows that there's another Lord tier hiding in the shadows and it also has 2 Lord tier familiars. Gao Peng thinks that is going to be troublesome. Huang Ye tells Gao Peng that their situation is a bit difficult for them to handle, so he'll ask his Red Blood War Horse to notify Jai Huan through their blood contract. Gao Peng responded okay. Suddenly Flamey angrily attacked the man using its fireball while saying he lost his feathers because of the man. But the winged thunder ape blocked Flamey attack easily. The man angrily said how dare Flamey interrupt him, then he ordered his winged thunder ape to kill them all. The ape flies toward Gao Peng and Huang Ye, then Huang Ye called his female spider and Gao Peng called Dummy and orders it to attack the winged thunder ape. The ape grabbed the female spider's hand, Dummy noticed it and tried to attack the ape who currently trying to attack the female spider, but the vines blocked Dummy way, which made Dummy confused and look at the peacock. Gao Peng tells Dummy to ignore the peacock and quickly destroy those vines and go assist the female spider. Dummy immediately destroyed the vines, but Dummy was shocked to see a huge tree falling to him, which made Gao Peng wonder how can the peacock can freely manipulate a huge tree. Dummy create a sword and cut the huge tree in half, but the vines continue blocking Dummy's way, which holds Dummy. Gao Peng thinks the peacock holding Dummy back and the female spider has just reached Lord tier, and without Dummy's help it'll be difficult for it to fight off the thunder ape. Moreover, Garu is hiding behind his peacock, so he can't target Garu. Gao Peng thinks the situation is bad because the peacock had a plant manipulation ability, and they're now in the middle of a dense forest, so it has the upper hand. Gao Peng thinks if only they were in a desert. Suddenly Gao Peng had an idea, then Gao Peng orders Flamey to spew fire at the trees and burn the whole forest down, to which Flamey immediately did. Garou said Gao Peng is naive if he thinks that burning the forest is going to work. Then Garou orders his peacock to send the burning trees to attack Gao Peng and Huang Ye. The peacock manipulated the burning trees and attacked Huang Ye, who is currently in shock. The female spider tried to shield Huang Ye, but Huang still got hit by the burning trees and landed on the ground injured. Gao Peng looked at Huang Ye in shock, but Huang Ye tells Gao Peng that he's okay and not to worry because he needs to focus on the fight. Garou smiled and said the fight is over because his opponent's strongest familiars are currently preoccupied, and Dummy was holding by the vines and is not alone. Suddenly the other man and their other beasts stand beside Garou. Then Garou said he remembers that Gao Peng is the young referee from the World Youth Trainer Championship. Then Garou laughed and said it's such a shame for Huaxia to lose their genius in the jungle. Garou orders the familiars to kill them all and leave none of them alive. Meanwhile, in the Southern Sky Group conference room, the man reported to Jai Huan that the documents he was holding are all the details concerning Xiangxi's development, and they'd already received preferential policies from the local government. Suddenly, the horse barged into the conference room while the bodyguard was shouting behind to stop the horse. The horse bowed, crying to Jai Huan, which made Jai Huan confused and asked what was going on. Secretary Han tells Jai Huan that the horse is Huang Ye's red blood war horse. Suddenly, Jai Huan realizes that Huang Ye went out with Gao Peng and he thinks something bad happened. Meanwhile, in the jungle, Gao Peng and Huang Ye were surrounded by many familiars. Huang Ye tells Gao Peng not to worry about him and run once there's an opening. Huang Ye also tells Gao Peng to just place the head of those guys and he'll die without regrets. Gao Peng responded that it won't come to that because they still have their secret weapon. Suddenly, one of the men was shocked to see Big Goldie behind Gao Peng and Huang Ye, which made the man wonder if it was the duck they saw earlier. And how did it grow so big? Gao Peng said the flames Flamey did weren't just for destroying the wood peacock's favorable terrain. With the flames acting as a distraction, Flamey successfully moved Goldie to a safe location. Following Gao Peng direction, Flamey activated Goldie's passive when it was waking it up. Flamey slaps Goldie continually to wake it up. Gao Peng thinks in a situation where both forces Lord Tears are at a standstill, as long as Goldie's passive is stacked high enough, Goldie will be able to crush those at the same level as it, and that is the key to breaking that siege. The man asks his familiars why they're so afraid of the duck when they outnumber them. Then he orders his familiars to kill the bald ugly duck. Gao Peng tells Goldie that those guy is laughing at him for not having feathers and calling him ugly, which made Goldie pissed. Then attacked the lion while angrily asking how dare they make fun of him for being bald. Then Goldie kicks the alligator. The man shouted don't rush at it head on because the duck had immense raw strength and they need to restrain it using the spider webs. Then the spider trapped Goldie using its spider webs, which made Goldie confused. Then the man tells the girl to use that opportunity to kill Gao Peng and Huang Ye. Then the girl orders his glass mantis to attack. The mantis attacked Gao Peng and Huang Ye, which made Huang Ye said their situation is bad. But Gao Peng smiled while thinking the mantis attack is just in time. Then Gao Peng pushed Huang Ye aside and blocked Huang Ye from the mantis attack, which made Huang Ye shocked. The owner of the mantis happily said they got one, but the other man asked the girl to look at Gao Peng because Gao Peng is completely unscathed. On the other hand, Goldie got bigger, which made Goldie free from the spider web, which made the platinum hands man ask why did the duck grow bigger. Then Goldie steps on the glass mantis and looks at the platinum hands, who currently wonder if they can really defeat Goldie. Garou, who was watching, thinks he miscalculated because he thought 8 familiars would be enough to take down Gao Peng and Huang Ye. Suddenly the mountain spirit made a noise and released a black aura, which made Garou excitedly thinks the mountain spirit is already halfway through its evolution. Then Garou laughed and said the mountain spirit king's merging process can't be reversed now and the strongest mountain spirit king is about to be born. Garou also said that his platinum hand's first step to conquering the world, and when that time comes, Yuju City will be the first to taste his wrath, which made Gao Peng wonder what mountain spirit king Garou is talking about. Then Gao Peng realizes that Garou was talking about the monster named Mountain Spirit King, who currently evolving. It was level 50.5 with an unknown tier yet, and its attribute is Earth. Its grade is epic or perfect, and its description said a herd of mountain spirits has gathered around one of its own in an attempt to stimulate its evolution. Also, the system said the Mountain Spirit King is still in the middle of evolving. Gao Peng said it was a new tier and he wondered if that was the Platinum Hand's plan. Garou then orders the Mountain Spirit King to trap Gao Peng and Huang Ye and don't let any one of them escape. The Mountain Spirit King heard Garou and grabbed Gao Peng team. But the Mountain Spirit King also grabbed Garou and his team, who were currently confused. Garou asks the Mountain Spirit King what the meaning of his doing, and why his trapping them too, but still the Mountain Spirit King grabs everyone. Gao Peng snaps some glow stick, then he asks Huang if he's okay. Huang responded is okay. Gao Peng looked at his surrounding while realizing that they were completely sealed in and he wonders if they were inside the tremors. Then Gao Peng heard Garou and his team from behind, which made Gao Peng wonders if those platinum hands arguing with each other. Gao Peng thinks the platinum hands can't fully control the Mountain Spirit King either. Then Gao Peng saw a hole that keeps radiating heat. He thinks the hole looks like an exit, but he's not sure where it leads to. Gao Peng patted sad Stripey while thinking his grandfather should be on his way, and as long as they can hold on until his grandfather arrives, everything should be fine. Meanwhile, at somewhere, Secretary Han tells Jai Huan that according to reliable sources, Gao Peng left the city through the exit, but they're not able to confirm Gao Peng's exact location. Secretary Han also tells Jai Huan that a blood contract can only allow a trainer to communicate with their familiar telepathically within a certain range. Neither party can sense the other's exact location. Jai Huan tells Secretary Han that he did a good job. Then Jai Huan ride White while angrily saying he wants to see who dares to touch his grandson. Then he orders White to go. Meanwhile, in the Mountain Spirit King trap place, the Platinum Hands tried to destroy the wall using the Thunder Ape power, while Gao Peng teams just looked at Garou's teams. Gao Peng looked at the wall and he thinks the wall is very tough, even the Lord tier tried to break it. And if it was a Commander tier, it probably wouldn't even be able to make a dent. Gao Peng knows that the Mountain Spirit King isn't dumb and it definitely won't let a group of monsters punch their way out of there. Gao Peng also knows that they won't break down the walls any faster than the Mountain Spirit King can create them. Then Gao Peng tells Flamey that if he had nothing to do, he should peck at Goldie's butt, just in case of an emergency, to which Flamey understands. Then Gao Peng holds his clothes while saying it was getting hotter and hotter there, and if it continues like that, he'll probably die of dehydration, which made Stripey look at Gao Peng sad. Suddenly Garou walked toward Gao Peng and tells Gao Peng that the situation is dire, so they need to have a ceasefire because they only have a chance at survival if their familiars attack the wall together, and Garou said he have a plan that can buy them more time. Garou said his plan is a sacrifice because now that the Mountain Spirit King is at a critical stage of its evolution, it needs an insane amount of energy. That's why it swallowed them, because they look like a delicious feast in the Mountain Spirit King's eyes. Then Garou pointed to the hole while saying that according to his knowledge, that hole leads to the Mountain Spirit's core and it'll continuously emit heat until its prey dies of dehydration. Then, the corpse will be slowly absorbed by the Mountain Spirit. Garou said if they send in a sacrifice, it'll stop emitting heat until it has finished enjoying its meal. Gao Peng asks Garou where are they going to find a sacrifice. Suddenly Gao Peng was shocked because he understands what Garou's saying. Garou tells Gao Peng that they'll take turns sending in their familiars as a sacrifice to satiate the Mountain Spirit King's hunger. Garou said his team will send one of their familiars to the hole, and then Gao Peng will send one of his familiars too. Then Garou asks Gao Peng how his plans sound, but before Gao Peng can answer, Garou said as proof of his sincerity, he'll go first. Then he orders one of his familiars to go into the hole, which made Gao Peng shocked and tried to stop Garou, but it's too late. Garou smiled and tells Gao Peng that he had proven his sincerity, so it's his turn now. But Gao Peng firmly said he refused because his familiars are his friends and he will not sacrifice his friends' lives so that he can live a little longer. Suddenly Stripey ran toward the hole, which made Gao Peng shocked and asked Stripey what is Stripey doing. Stripey responded that he'll help Gao Peng to slow down the big chunk of rock and he'll be back in a second. The girl said people from Huaxia sure are hypocrites, and he tells Gao Peng that his is acting as if he cares when he was actually planning to sacrifice his crab all along. The girl's words made Gao Peng angry and asked the girl what did she say. Then Gao Peng punched the girl because he's a Sigma male who didn't take no BS, and looks at her angrily while saying if she spouts nonsense again, he'll tear her apart, which made the girl shake in fear. Then Gao Peng ran toward the hole with Goldie while saying their blood contract tells him that Stripey is still alive. Then he asks Goldie to follow him to save that little fool Stripey. On the other hand, the man tells Garou that they hit one of their own and Gao Peng team looks like they're not willing to cooperate. Then the man asks Garou if should they kill them. Garou responded that no need and they should let them throw their lives away and buy them some time. When Gao Peng and Goldie were ready to jump into the hole, they heard something. The piece of the wall was destroyed. Then Gao Peng saw White Hand on the broken wall. Then Jai Huan looks at the broken wall and asks Gao Peng if he's okay and if he's hurt. Gao Peng waved his hands while assuring his grandfather he's okay. Then Gao Peng pointed to the hole and asked his grandfather if can he let White break down the wall because Stripey's inside. Jai Huan responded okay and tells Gao Peng to move aside. Then White used its claws to break the hole. Gao Peng looked at the hole and realizes there's another hole at the bottom and he can't see where the hole leads. Then Gao Peng shouted to ask Stripey if it can hear him and ordered Stripey to come out. Suddenly Gao Peng heard Stripey said he's so sleepy, which made Gao Peng think Stripey responded sounds like it's not in any life-threatening danger just yet. Then Gao Peng shouted to Stripey to hurry up and come out because his grandfather is already there and is safe now. Jai Huan tells Gao Peng that it is too dangerous down in the hole and he tells Gao Peng to come out first. Gao Peng realizes that they can only rely on White Dragon to break down the walls to reach Stripey, and being there will only hinder White, so he should leave first. Then Gao Peng helps Huang Yi to walk toward Jai Huan while telling his grandfather that Huang is hurt, so Huang Yi should get out first. Huang Yi tried to make Gao Peng go first, but Gao Peng just tells Huang Yi that his grandfather is there now so no danger will come to him. Then the man said, "Your Excellency," but before the man can finish his words, Garou made him silent and tells the man that they'll sneak out after Gao Peng teams leave. Suddenly Gao Peng look at the platinum hands and angrily tell them if they think he'll forget about them. Then Gao Peng pointed to Garou while telling his grandfather that those are the people from the platinum hands inside, and they were their enemies, which made Garou shocked. Then White hit Garou using the stone, which made Garou smashed. Then White grabbed Gao Peng, who currently thinking that if their places were switched his familiars would be squashed by easily too. Then Gao Peng wondered if the difference in strength is that big because he was not sure when it started. But he had slowly come to value only the familiar's grades and not their levels. Gao Peng thought as long as their grade improved, his familiar could beat monsters tens of levels higher, or maybe even a whole tier above, but a monster's strength grows exponentially. At late tiers, the difference in strength grows bigger. Whether it's the Mountain Spirit's King Rock Wall Trap or the White Dragon's Emperor Claw, the difference between King tier and Lord tier monsters is as clear as day. Suddenly the Mountain Spirit King cried, which made Gao Peng wonder why the Mountain Spirit King's cry sounds fairly weak, and the magma flowing on its surface is turning dull. Gao Peng saw the system that the Monster Spirit King who currently evolving was weak and its condition said it was about to hibernate forever. Also, its supply of energy is insufficient. Gao Peng thinks the Mountain Spirit King's vitality is growing weaker and weaker, and he can feel Stripey's life force growing fainter. Then Gao Peng asks his grandfather if he can send White to go kill a couple of mountain spirits, which made Jai Huan ask if he heard Gao Peng right. Gao Peng responded yes, because they'll feed the core of the mountain spirits to the Mountain Spirit King. Gao Peng also said he noticed that the weaker the Mountain Spirit King is, the fainter Stripey's life force is, and right now, the only way to save Stripey is to ensure nothing goes wrong with the Mountain Spirit King. White screamed and attacked all the mountain spirits one by one in its way. Then White get all the mountain spirits' cores. Then White throws it to the Mountain Spirit King. The cores are slowly absorbed by the Mountain Spirit King. Then the system showed that the Mountain Spirit King's condition said an error has occurred during evolution, so a new life will be born. Gao Peng notices that the Mountain Spirit King has stopped moving. But the system says it's still evolving, and he thinks they made the right move, but there seems to be a new power growing within the Mountain Spirit King's stomach. It was very weak, but it was full of desire for survival, which made Gao Peng wonder if it was Stripey. Gao Peng hold his head angrily while thinking Stripey is in danger because of him. Then he asks himself what were he being cocky for. Gao Peng also thinks he was supposed to be following the principle of prudence, but his action lately contradicts his low-profile lifestyle. Then he wonders if he thinks he's on top of the world now, after acting as a referee once. Jai Huan held Gao Peng's shoulder and tells Gao Peng not to be too hard on himself. Then Jai Huan said they should go back and think about their next move. Then Jai Huan assured Gao Peng that he'll help him to save Stripey. Gao Peng angrily thinks if Stripey dies, he'll kill every last mountain spirit and use you to avenge Stripey. Half a month later, Flamey was flying in the sky, then Flamey landed on the side of the river lake while holding a fish. On the other hand, Goldie sadly looked at Flamey while asking Flamey why can Flamey feathers regrow and if they didn't agree on being bald together. Then Gao Peng looked at his familiar training while thinking after the incident with Stripey, his familiars all started to train harder during the half month, especially Da Zai. Although Da Zai doesn't say anything, Da Zai is always the first one to wake up and train every day. Da Zai was also the last one to go to sleep. Gao Peng said his blood contract with Stripey tells him that Stripey isn't in any life-threatening danger, and it's only that it has fallen into a deep sleep. However, his grandfather organized a dedicated team to scan the Mountain Spirit King's body, but they couldn't locate Stripey's exact location. Suddenly Gao Peng feels something that made him wonder what's going on. Then the ground his feet standing on collapsed and the tree he hit using his hand broke. Gao Peng was shocked and wondered why his strength suddenly increased so much. Then Gao Peng calms himself and closes his eyes because he senses something extraordinary senses. Gao Peng feels that his third familiar has awakened, which made him think it was Stripey. Suddenly Gao Peng heard Stripey ask him where he was, and Stripey said he's scared of heights. Gao Peng happily asks Stripey if he was awake and where he is right now. Stripey responded he don't know and is so sleepy. Gao Peng thinks Stripey has probably absorbed the Mountain Spirit King. Otherwise, there's no other explanation for the monstrous strength and Stripey should be at the same place they had left it. Gao Peng also thinks although monster trainers can receive a 1/100 physical boost from their strongest familiar, they aren't able to use any of their familiar's skills, so he always thought it was a useless boost. But now he feels like superb. Together with his extraordinary senses, he not only possesses the powerful 6 senses, but he can also perfectly control the power he holds. Then Gao Peng tells his familiars that they should go because they're bringing Stripey back, which made Da Zai shocked. Da Zai asks Gao Peng if he wants to ride on his back. Gao Peng responded is good and asked Da Zai if Da Zai want to have a race with him. Da Zai asked Gao Peng if he will buy something yummy for him to eat if Gao Peng won. Gao Peng tells Da Zai he'll buy him something yummy if he loses, and if he wins, Da Zai will get nothing. Da Zai confidently called Gao Peng stupid because Gao Peng is going to lose. Then Gao Peng said they should start. Then Gao Peng ran fast, which made Silly, who currently holding onto him, shocked and confused. Also, Goldie and Da Zai were shocked, which made Da Zai ask if Gao Peng isn't Dummy dressed as Gao Peng. Gao Peng was in a far running, while Da Zai calling Dummy to wait for him because Da Zai thinks Dummy was dressed as Gao Peng, which leaves the real Dummy confused. Stripey wonder if Gao Peng come for him. Then Stripey look at his surrounding and said, where is this place? And the place is way too high. Stripey stand up, which made Goldie and Dummy shocked and confused. Then Silly tried to pull Gao Peng while saying they should run because there's a big fish. Da Zai also pulled Gao Peng legs and tells Gao Peng to run. But Gao Peng grabbed Silly and tells Silly to look closely at who it is. But Silly passed out, which made Gao Peng said Silly is too much of a coward. Stripey's new monster's name is Disaster Mountain Spider. It was level 51 King tier and its grade is epic. Its attributes are Earth, Rock, and Magma. Also, Stripey's skills are Giant Body level 1, Earth Control level 5, Magma Control level 2, and Hardened Rock level 3. Gao Peng said Stripey's strength really has a meteoric rise this time. Gao Peng thinks now that Stripey is an epic grade, it's probably became a legendary grade during evolution, and reached King tier, but Stripey is too big to travel around with them now. It's like a fortress, it's only suitable for defending a particular location. Then Gao Peng welcomes Stripey back. Stripey bended to see Gao Peng and said he want to hold Gao Peng, but he can't hold him as he used to now. Gao Peng was shocked and asked Stripey if he can talk now, not through their blood contract but with his own voice. Then Gao Peng patted Stripey and praised it. Gao Peng tells Stripey that he had grown so big now, so he should learn to be quieter, and since Stripey absorbed the mountain spirit's essence, from now on, Gao Peng said Stripey shall be the ruler of the mountains. Stripey happily agrees and said he'll help Gao Peng keep those mountain spirits in line and be the ruler of the mountains. A few hours later, Stripey was in the back of the river lake looking at confused White. On the other hand, Gao Peng asks his grandfather if he just let the news out like that. Jai Huan responded that he wanted to cover up for Gao Peng. But Jai Huan asked Gao Peng if he has seen the size of his familiar and how he was supposed to hide Stripey, and he said the people aren't blind. Jai Huan also said everyone in Yuju knows about Stripey and the government said they'd accommodate their request, and that they've already reported the situation to the federal government of the Huaxia region. Then Jai Huan asks what if people know and what can they do about Stripey. Then Jai Huan tells Gao Peng that he must remember that the strong will always prey on the weak. Then Jai Huan also tells Gao Peng, back when he was gone, they had laid their hands on the southern sky ground, and they had nothing by the time he returned, and the night he came back he was ambushed by snipers, familiars, and even bombs. Gao Peng angrily asks his grandfather who did it to him. But Jai Huan just asked Gao Peng if he looks like someone who would bide their time to seek vengeance. Jai Huan said he took White with him the next day, and he executed his enemy one by one till it was a bloodbath. Then, they started to fear him. Then Jai Huan tells Gao Peng that he was hoping to spare him for a couple more years, but within a blink of an eye, he had already grown so much and he no longer need him anymore, which made Gao Peng stunned. Then Gao Peng asks his grandfather shyly if that is cue to act cute, which made Jai Huan call Gao Peng a little brat. Wang Yi arrived and tells Gao Peng and Jai Huan that the two familiar corpses had arrived at the laboratory. Gao Peng thanked Wang Yi and ordered Wang Yi to go prepare first and he'll join him later. Then Gao Peng tells his grandfather that he'll be leaving to handle the two corpses. When Gao Peng was walking away, he feels his grandfather's gaze behind him. Suddenly Jai Huan attacked Gao Peng. Fortunately, Gao Peng blocked it using his hand. Then Gao Peng asks his grandfather what is he doing. But Jai Huan just walk away while saying Gao Peng is not bad and he had gotten stronger. Then Jai Huan said Gao Peng must be hungry, so he's going to rustle up some food, leaving Gao Peng confused. While Jai Huan was walking away, he thinks Gao Peng doesn't know how to respect his elders and he can't believe Gao Peng used his full strength. Jai Huan's hand was shaking while he was saying he shouldn't have held back. But he also said now that Gao Peng has the strength to protect himself, he can let go of many of his worries now. The night comes. The two beasts' corpses were lying on the ground. Wang Yi tells Gao Peng that those are the two familiar skeletons they brought back. The Winged Thunder Ape died on the spot, so they brought back its corpse, and its blood and flesh have been broken down to make materials. As for the Wood Peacock, it survived, but it refused to eat anything and starved itself to death. Gao Peng said that is a familiar's way of proving their loyalty, and that's their benevolence toward it, so no need to force it. Then Gao Peng tells Huang Yi not to worry because that isn't his fault. Then Gao Peng tells Dummy that it's his turn. Dummy uses his summoning soul skill, but the peacock soul doesn't respond. Gao Peng said Dummy is currently level 43. But the peacock was level 44. So Gao Peng wonder if that means Dummy can only extract souls that are lower than its level. Gao Peng thinks the possibility is very high. Then Gao Peng look at the ape soul responding to Dummy call, which Gao Peng thinks it seems to be going smoothly. Gao Peng said those glowing fragments should be the lingering memories contained inside the soul, and Gao Peng also said every life has its own epic. Dummy said the ape had too many memories and there was no use absorbing it, so Dummy burn it. Suddenly the ape's eye opened and it screamed while the system showed the monster's name as a winged skeletal ape subordinate to the skeletal tyrant, which made Gao Peng think his plan worked. Stripey was happily thinking as the ruler of the mountains continuously. The system showed Stripey's special characteristic is the Heart of Earth. An earthen heart had replaced its original heart and increases the Earth's affinity with the condition of it losing the possibility of confluence between other attributes. Effect 1, Passive Effect is Earth Control Level 1. Effect 2, Passive Effect said as long as it's in contact with the ground, it can indefinitely absorb Earth's elemental energy to form a layer of granite armor, and that skill is inextricably linked to its Earth control ability. The other one is the Disaster Cloud. The Earth is not its only source of power, nor is the magma flowing deep beneath the Earth. Excess magma energy collected is released in the form of ash-gray smog through the holes on its back, which is known as the Disaster Cloud. Effect 1, Passive Effect said the clouds have incredibly powerful magma energy and can absorb the energies indefinitely until it reaches its limit. Effect 2, Active Effect said Disaster Cloud Mastery is an incredibly powerful attack that rains magma from the skies on its opponents. Also, Stripey's weaknesses are impenetrable defense, large body. As long as it's in contact with the ground, it can raise its defensive power indefinitely. However, mobility is extremely poor due to its gigantic size, and it has to be in contact with the Earth to maximize its battle potential. Stripey's monster introduction said an Earth Shield spider that consumed the heart of an evolving Mountain Spirit King. It was lucky enough to merge and evolve with the Mountain Spirit King to evolve into an extremely rare Disaster Mountain Spider. Gao Peng looked at the winged skeletal ape while thinking that the power of reviving the dead always amazes him every time. The winged skeletal ape level is 41 in normal grade. Its attributes are ghoul and bone, and its weaknesses are holy and light. Gao Peng thinks the winged skeletal ape's level and grade are one level lower, and a reincarnated ghoul can't access the full spectrum of its power and abilities from when it was alive. Even if the reincarnated ghoul is the same attributes, there is a difference in the strength of all reincarnated ghouls. Gao Peng also thinks the factor that affects that difference is still unknown. But currently, he doesn't have time to research that kind of thing. Then Gao Peng tells Dummy to order the winged skeletal ape to carry the remains of the wood peacock to the laboratory, and Dummy should tell the winged skeletal to be gentle because even its master wasn't a good person. It really is a good familiar. Also, Gao Peng tells Dummy that his daughter named Xiao Hua already evolved successfully, and Xiao Hua was still sleeping in the cottage when he left. So Gao Peng asks Dummy to go into the cottage to see if his daughter is awake. Then Gao Peng walk away while telling Dummy that he'll be heading back first. Dummy bow his head and thanked Gao Peng. The next morning, in the laboratory, Gao Peng was looking at the monitor confused, asking Stripey when did his head have so many tangerine trees. Suddenly Gao Peng saw something climb down fast on Stripey's head, which made Gao Peng shocked. Then Gao Peng noticed that it was Dazai and angrily asked what is Dazai doing, which made Dazai shake in fear. Dazai looks at the camera and waves his hand with dirt while explaining to Gao Peng that it wasn't him and that he didn't do anything. But Gao Peng notices the dirt in his claws and asks what is on his claws. Dazai immediately hides his claws behind his back. Then Gao Peng releases the camera hands, then grabs Dazai's hand, and swings Dazai in the air while Gao Peng angrily asks Dazai how many times did he have to tell him to not bully Stripey. Dazai called Gao Peng ugly and asked Gao Peng to let go of him, while Stripey told Gao Peng he's okay and his head is all rock so he don't feel anything. Stripey also said Dazai was only playing with him. Dazai used his skill which made the camera hands let go of him. Then Dazai immediately run to climb up on Stripey's head while telling Gao Peng to stay in the laboratory and he'll bring back tangerines for him. Suddenly the monitor in the laboratory showed Huang Yi who was calling Gao Peng, which made Gao Peng confused. Then Gao Peng asks Huang Yi what is it and if it's about the progress of the arrangements he made before. Huang Yi responded yes and said the school established in his name has been completed and the first batch of orphans to be enrolled has been arranged. Wang Yi also said the school is built close to the Southern Sky Group, which assures the orphans' safety, and as Gao Peng instructed, the school provides a full waiver of miscellaneous fees, food, and a hostel. As for teachers and lesson plans, they've already consulted professionals and he believes they'll see the results soon. Gao Peng told Wang Yi that he did great and there have been so many orphans after the cataclysm, who the Alliance can't possibly take care of, so their lives aren't as amazing as the media portrays the orphans to be. But of course, they won't force the orphans and that is a fair deal. Gao Peng also said they'll ensure that the orphans receive top-class education, and if the orphans' grades are good, they'll even gift them familiars. However, there is no such thing as free lunch. Giving goes both ways, all they want from the orphans is a little bit of loyalty. Then Gao Peng tells Wang Yi he had worked hard and he should carry on. Wang Yi tells Gao Peng that there's one thing he wants to say, and it was a young lady named Lin Xinryu who is there to see him. Gao Peng responded that Wang Yi should send Xinryu straight to his laboratory because Xinryu made an appointment with him, to which Wang Yi immediately followed. Half an hour later, Xinryu with his beast meets Gao Peng in the laboratory. Then Xinryu tells Gao Peng that he looks like he made a pretty good haul. Gao Peng responded that he see that Xinryu is well informed and it looks like she had given his offer some serious thought. Then Gao Peng tells Xinryu to trust him and join the Southern Sky Group, and he promises Xinryu that she won't regret it. Then Gao Peng looked at Xinrui's familiar and asked if that is the familiar Xinryu wanted to promote, to which Xinryu responded yes. Xinryu monster's name is Goldtail Divine Shrimp. It was level 40 in excellent grade and its abilities are muscle growth level 2 and shell hardening level 1. Its attributes are gold and its weaknesses are 1, fire, and 2. The point in its tail where the third and fourth joints connect is very weak. Gao Peng thinks the shrimp should be a close relative of the sparrow-tailed mantis shrimp. Then Gao Peng saw the system that showed the ways of reaching the shrimp's perfect grade is 6. This made Gao Peng think some of the materials can be found in the lab, and some can be found in the wild. But, no matter which way he chooses, it will be difficult to gather the materials immediately and it was troublesome for him. Gao Peng tells Xinryu that he knows a way of promoting her shrimp, but he lack of the materials. Gao Peng also said he'll immediately send people to gather the necessary materials and if they're fortunate, they should have all the materials in a week, and if not, Gao Peng asks Xinryu to give him a week. Xinryu tells Gao Peng not to worry because she's not in the hurry. Xinryu said after all, there is no monster breeder who has a 100% success rate in the world, and if Gao Peng failed, she understand. But she assured Gao Peng that she believe in him. Gao Peng smile and tells Xinryu not to worry because he'll definitely keep his promise and he wished them happy cooperation in advance. Meanwhile, at near the Adamantium Bridge, there's a corpse lying on the ground. The chief asks the military where is the witness. The military responded that the witness is inside the car and it was just that they were a bit shaken. The chief thinks it's not surprising because according to the coroner, the victim had been decapitated and the wound patterns suggest that it was probably done with a blunt instrument. The chief also thinks that using a blunt instrument for decapitation is sure the suspect must have monstrous strength. Then the military man sitting at the side with a computer called the chief to look at what he found. The chief walked toward the military who was making him look at the computer and the chief was shocked to see the Guanggong statue was alive in the landmark of the Adamantium Bridge. Guanggong's status is also known as Guan Yu. It was a Chinese military general in the period spanning the late Eastern Han Dynasty 25 to 220 and the Three Kingdoms 220 to 280. The chief immediately orders the military to hurry and check the surveillance cameras because they need to find the Guanggong statue. One military man told the chief that their forces in Chengxi called and said the missing statue was spotted at Chengxi's Magnet Mouth Plaza, which made the chief shocked because the Magnet Mouth Plaza is one of the largest commercial districts. The chief immediately ran toward the car while ordering the militaries to evacuate all of the civilians at the Magnet Mouth Plaza immediately and bar the non-police and non-military personnel from entering, to which the militaries immediately followed. Meanwhile, Gao Peng was in the Magnet Mouth Commercial District with Silly and Da Zai. Gao Peng thinks the Magnet Mouth Commercial District is currently a bit empty. Gao Peng also thinks he went to every shop but he still hasn't gathered all of the materials he needed, and he wonders if he should check the black market. Suddenly he notices something from the side, then he looks at it while wondering why is the statue so familiar to him and if the statue is the Guanggong statue at the Adamantium Bridge Commercial Street. Also, Gao Peng wonder why the statue is there. The Guanggong monster name is Animated Bronze Statue of Guanggong. It was level 41 Lord tier in an excellent grade. Its attribute is gold and its abilities are Iron Skin Metal Bones level 3 and Super Durability level 1. The Guangong statue's weaknesses are 1. Earth, 2. Electric, and 3. Items with impurities. And its introduction said originally it was just a normal statue, but it gained life energy after being infused by the power of wishes. The life energy was then fully activated by the surrounding spiritual and elemental energies, so the statue became an animated statue, which made Gao Peng shocked and wonder what the hell is that Guangong's animated statue. While Gao Peng looking at the Guangong statue system, he thinks the Guangong statue probably isn't faith since there isn't any place to burn incense and worship at the adamantium bridge, and the closest it ever came to was passers-by staring at it in respect as they walked past it. Gao Peng get his phone while thinking it was interesting and he should text his grandfather about the Guangong statue. Jai Huan called Gao Peng to say that he received his text, but what's interesting is that the Yuzhou city government didn't tell him anything about the Guangong statue because they used to tell him about the situation like that. Gao Peng responded that maybe the government doesn't want to let the word spread and he thinks the civilians don't know about the situation either. Jai Huan tells Gao Peng that he's not that petty and Thunder God is closest to him, so it'll be in his current location as soon as it can. Gao Peng responded okay to his grandfather, then he hang up. Gao Peng sees the militaries from afar while thinking an animated statue can't really cause much trouble in Yuzhou City, but he hopes that there aren't many animated statues in that historical area of Huaxia. Gao Peng realized together with those things that had crawled out of the mausoleum, and if the situation isn't a coincidence, that is bad. So Gao Peng hopes is just being paranoid. Then Gao Peng noticed the military's attire is the black flags. Gao Peng remembers his grandfather telling him all about the various units under the Allied government, even the secret ones. The black flags are a secret unit tasked with handling emergencies within the base cities. Then Gao Peng saw many monsters named Obsidian Hounds. The Obsidian Hounds are levels 23 to 35 with normal and excellent grades. Their attribute is dark and their condition is healthy but ferocious, alert, and ready. Gao Peng thinks there are around 50 commander tier Obsidian Hounds there, with all of them expertly trained to turn on a dime. But whether they're enough to take on the Lord tier animated bronze statue is hard to say. The Obsidian Hounds walk toward the Guangong statue. The statue looks at the Obsidian Hounds angrily. Then the horse that the Guangong sitting on stands up and made a noise signaling that it was ready to attack, which made the chief realizes that the statue is a Lord tier monster. Then the chief immediately gets his radio and orders the black flags to immediately notify the Lord tier monster trainers in Yuzhou City and evacuate all police personnel because their area is now a red zone. One of the Obsidian Hounds attacks the statue using its claws, but the Obsidian Hound only leaves a little scratch on the statue. Then the statue stabs the Obsidian Hound using its spear. The other Obsidian Hounds ran toward the statue to attack, but the statue swung his spear to the ground and made a big wave that killed the Obsidian Hounds in half and destroy the things that spear wave hit. The chief sees many of the Obsidian Hounds get killed, which made him think that they won't have enough familiars to maintain order. Then he orders the military to stand down. Suddenly the ground shook, which made the chief wonder if there was an earthquake. Then some shells pop out in the ground, and then Thunder God showed itself smiling. The chief look at Thunder God and wonders if isn't it Jai Huan familiar. Gao Peng asks the chief if he is Chief Luo, while the black flag stopping Gao Peng from walking forward and asking for his identity. The black flag pointed a gun at Gao Peng while Gao Peng told them not to be nervous because he was just a law-abiding citizen who just happened to pass by. Then Gao Peng introduces himself, then pointed at Thunder God while saying it was his grandfather's familiar name, Thunder God. Luo heard Gao Peng and confirmed that it was really Jai Huan familiar, and he wondered if Gao Peng is the legendary grandson of Jai Huan. Then Luo stops the black flag and asks them how could they point a gun at a kind civilian. Then he orders them to stand down. Then Luo held Gao Peng's hand while begging for Gao Peng assistance in subduing the rampaging statue for the sake of the city and all its people. Then Luo tells Gao Peng that he implores him. Gao Peng responded that naturally, that is what a citizen of the Alliance should do. Then Da Zai tells Thunder God that he'll leave it to him. Thunder God immediately uses his skill to create a thunder ball. Then Thunder God attacks the statue, who's in shock after seeing it. Thunder God create more thunder balls to attack again. But the statue avoided all Thunder God attacks while running toward Thunder God to attack. The statue jumps into the sky, launching an attack on Thunder God. But Thunder God immediately used his power to grab the statue's hands and feet, which made the statue shocked. Then Thunder God trapped the statue and its horse in the ground. The statue tried to break free from Thunder God trap, but Thunder God breaks the arm of the statue. Gao Peng said Thunder God attribute counter is so scary, and he said the battle is over. On the other hand, one of the black flags asks Luo if the fight is over just like that and if it is possible that the statue expended too much strength against their men earlier and is currently running on fumes. Luo asks the man angrily if he should ask Gao Peng's familiar to stop attacking and send him out there instead, which made the man can't speak a word. Gao Peng, who's heard everything, smiles and thinks Luo is smart and he thinks they can work together in the future. A minute later, in the truck, Thunder God was guarding the animated bronze statue of Guangong, who's lightly injured and paralyzed. Gao Peng waves his hand to Luo while thanking Luo for his generosity. Gao Peng also told Luo not to worry because he won't take credit for defeating the statue Lord Tier monster, and the credits will be on Luo. A few hours later, in the mountain behind the villa, Dajie told Gao Peng that Thunder God said it was a little tired. Gao Peng responded that the statue is a Lord Tier monster, after all, so the energy expended while suppressing it must have been great. Suddenly, Thunder God trapped slowly faded, which made the statue break free. Then the statue immediately kicks his spear up in the air and grabs it. Then the statue immediately attacks Gao Peng, but Gao Peng just caught the spear using one hand and asks the statue why he's weak and if he didn't eat. Then the statue was shocked to feel something powerful looking at him from behind. Then the ground that the statue standing on collapsed, which made the statue fall into the hole, while Gao Peng tossed the spear to the side. Then the stone wrapped the statue slowly while the statue tried to break free. But unfortunately, the statue was wrapped inside a huge stone. Gao Peng said the stone is so big and its radius should be at least 50-60 meters. But Gao Peng said it was expected of a king tier monster and it could easily deal catastrophic damage. Then Gao Peng asks Stripey, who currently looking at the stone, that he'll be leaving the statue in his care. Then Stripey sit on the stone, which made Gao Peng tell Stripey is telling him to keep an eye on it, not hatch it like an egg. Then Gao Peng's cell phone rang. Wang Ye told Gao Peng that as he had instructed, those are the photo taken near the human Shan Buddha statue. Then Wang Ye sent the photo, which made Gao Peng think the statue doesn't show any stats, so the Buddha statue should only be an ordinary statue. But the mountain and rivers have experienced certain mutations after the cataclysm, which makes rivers have turbulent water flow, and the river in front of the statue is way too calm, so it's possible that the Buddha statue has experiences mutation but hasn't awakened yet. On the other note, there's a place called Yungang Grottos at Yuncheng Base City in the Bing province, and in just one night, all the Buddha statues there came to life. Also, no one knows the exact situation, but it is said that the Allied government's Huaxia branch has already dispatched a team to investigate. Other nations haven't responded to that incident because that phenomenon hasn't only occurred in Huaxia. Other nations have also encountered similar troubles, like Rome, Greece, and Egypt. Gao Peng thinks the Allied government is losing their prestige and control. Even though the New World Allied government was formed immediately after the cataclysm in order to save humanity, the world is simply evolving way too quickly. Gao Peng knows that humanity has long been booted from the top of the food chain, and he can't imagine what would happen if the world continued to evolve so fiercely, and the only thing they can do is accept the truth and focus on becoming stronger, as long as they keep themselves ahead of the evolutionary race. Also, no matter how cruel the world becomes, they can still survive. Then Gao Peng shouted, "Bring it on," and they should see if the monster can mutate faster, or if his familiars can evolve faster. Then Gao Peng calmly thanked Wang Ye and ordered Wang Ye to continue to follow up, to which Wang Ye immediately agrees. A few moments later, Gao Peng saw that the statue status is healthy and calm but depressed. The statue likes are 1. Standing motionless and pretending to be an ordinary statue. 2. Decapitating evildoers. And its weakness is the power of impurity. Gao Peng, who's looking at the statue, thinks the statue has accepted its fate because the king tier familiar is the one guarding it, so it can neither fight nor run. Then Gao Peng smiled evilly while thinking about the statue's weakness. Then Gao Peng made the chickens poop on it, but the statue still acts ordinarily. Then Gao Peng dumped blood on it, which made the statue gets angry at Gao Peng, while Gao Peng thinks it had no effect, and he figured out that the power of impurity isn't referring to dog blood or feces. Gao Peng wonders if it could be an undiscovered hidden material like the wood space heart. Then Gao Peng tells Stripey that he has other things to do, so he'll leave the statue there with him. Gao Peng also tells Stripey to talk to the statue when he's bored and ask about its reason behind killing people if he can, to which Stripey agree. Then Stripey looked at the statue and laughed while saying he finally had someone he can talk to, which made the statue shocked in fear. Then Stripey buried the statue in the ground while happily asking the statue if it had eaten mealworms before. Then Stripey realizes the man is a statue and he thinks it is pitiful that the statue doesn't even know what it's like to taste the mealworm. Stripey also asks the statue if he knows mealworms are delicious, and Stripey said he thinks that the mealworms that Gao Peng bought for him in Chang'an City were the tastiest, but it's a pity because he had never eaten such delicious mealworms again. Then Stripey again asked the statue if he had heard of Chang'an City before, and Stripey said the statue had probably never been there. Stripey explained that it's a base city that's almost as big as Yuzhou City. Then Stripey asked the statue again if he heard about him, and Stripey said he think the statue should have heard of him because he had gotten a lot of praise from the stupid humans outside recently, and the humans said that he's the greatest familiar in the world. Then Stripey angrily asks the statue why he's ignoring him. Then Stripey tells the man that they should talk about his hobbies instead. Then Stripey asks the statue why did he kill those humans. The statue, who's currently trapped underground, responded that he just saw a couple of hooligans causing trouble in the neighborhood, so he killed them with one strike. Then the statue begs Stripey to stop talking. Stripey looks at the statue, realizing the statue can talk. Then he tells the statue that they should continue chatting for a bit. A few days, at the entrance to the forest outside of Yuju City, Stripey was walking. Gao Peng and his other familiars were on the head of Stripey, exhausted. Gao Peng said although it's safe to ride on Stripey, then he looks at the smoke coming out from Stripey and said whenever Stripey moves, it absorbs the heat from the earth and exudes black smoke that is extremely high in temperature, and it's really too hot. Then Gao Peng thinks the talk about the statues coming alive has died down lately, and their willpower is too fierce, they would rather die than submit to humans and become familiar. So, the Allied government could only make an agreement with the statues to gain some control over them. But that incident has given him an idea. Since the rate of mutation is so fast, there should be undiscovered monsters and treasures hidden in the mountains outside of Yuju City. Before, due to not having a safe resting place, monster hunter teams could only explore the parts near Yuju City. But now the resources in the forest near Yuju City have been emptied, and only a handful of experienced monster hunter teams dare to enter areas that are far from the city. Gao Peng also thinks if he could get the mountain spirits to cooperate, he can create a method that's similar to a mountain post. Then, individual duels and teams could venture further in without any worries, and when they're tired or need supplies, they can rest at the outposts. As for the price, making it 3 to 4 times higher than the market price would suffice. After all, transporting goods out to the wild needs manpower. Also, they could charge guests for accommodation for the night and charge them according to a fixed rate for resting in the morning. Then Gao Peng happy pointed to somewhere and said they could make a huge profit no matter how he look at it. Then he said they should scout the routes first. 1 month later, Gao Peng was looking at his tablet while happy saying the 4th outpost is set. Then he told Stripey that they should move on to their next destination. Gao Peng also said they had currently united more than 10 mountain spirits, and that really is a big project, and he had been traveling most of his time. In the past month, Flamey, Goldie, and Stripey reached level 39 and level 40. They're only 1 step away from reaching Lord Tier. Gao Peng happily said he'll have 4 Lord Tier familiars and 1 King Tier familiar soon. Suddenly he heard something, and when he looked back he saw many mutated bees coming on their way. The bees monster's name is Lion Blade Bees in a swarm. They were level 11 to 20 in normal, excellent, and perfect grades. The bees' attributes are gold, poison, and wind, and their skills are armor-piercing stinger level 2 and anesthetic acute poison level 1. The bees' special characteristic is Soundwave, and their special skill set can only activate when their swarm number reaches at least 100,000. And their special effect can cause auditory discomfort to nearby monsters. Also, the bee's weaknesses are a lion blade bee is weak by itself. The bee's description said as descendants of the bumblebee, lion blades bees are a vicious and bloodthirsty species with no fears. Their greatest desire is to feast on fresh flesh, and they shy away when alone. Also, the bees fear nothing. However, as a swarm, they fear nothing and would even try to take on a dragon. Gao Peng knows that a lion blade with an anesthetic poison can make the victim immobilized once stung, and the victims can only watch helplessly as a swarm of bloodthirsty predators devours their one of the worst ways punishments. Then Gao Peng smiled while thinking the bees will be perfect to test Stripey's new skill named Disaster Cloud. Then Stripey used his Disaster Cloud skill, which made the bees burn alive. Then the bees fall to the ground. Gao Peng, who currently looking at burned falling bees, realized that is the power of lava, and he said the fried smell does smell nice. Then he called Flamey while saying they should go over to the spot where the bees fell. Gao Peng was riding Flamey, who currently flying, while thinking that the bees are all elite tier monsters and thousands of monster corpses mean thousands of monster core crystals, so he'll become rich without even trying. Then Flamey saw the cooked bees on the ground and excitedly said it was yummy. Then Flamey eat the bee, while Gao Peng asked Flamey if it was really tasty. Then Gao Peng called Dummy, and Dummy immediately landed on Gao Peng's back. Gao Peng ordered Dummy to try to resurrect the bees' corpses, which Dummy immediately did. The bee's skeletal resurrect, but immediately broke too. Dummy tells Gao Peng that the bee's type of monster doesn't have a complete skeletal structure inside its body, so he cannot resurrect them. Gao Peng responded never mind. Then he looks at Happy Flamey, who currently looking at the bee on the ground, while Gao Peng remembering that there were a couple of bees over Flamey place, but now it's all gone. Gao Peng wonder if Flamey finished devouring the bees so quickly. Then Flamey approached the bees and started to eat it. Also, Goldie and Stripey were there eating it, which made Gao Peng wonder when did Dazai and Goldie come there. Then Gao Peng looked at Dummy and told Dummy that since they were already there he should try reviving every dead creature buried in the earth there. To which Dummy immediately did. Many different types of monsters come out from underground. Then Gao Peng noticed that Dummy also revives the adventurer. Then he orders Dummy to let the adventurer rest in peace because they shouldn't disturb it any longer, which Dummy immediately followed. Suddenly they heard something move in the bush, then Dummy stepped forward to protect Gao Peng while telling Gao Peng that something has happened and the resurrected ghouls have encountered a monster. Then Dummy told Gao Peng that he will let the Legion go first. Then Dummy ordered the Legion to go check the bush, which the Legion immediately did. Then something inside the bush moves, and the mouse jumps out of the bush, which made Gao Peng confused. Then the mouse ran past them while Gao Peng ordered Dummy and Flamey to catch it. Flamey uses his fireballs, but the mouse avoided all Flamey attacks while running. Dummy immediately appeared in the mouse's back, which made the mouse shocked. Then Dummy grabs the mouse, who currently moving, trying to escape. Gao Peng looked at the mouse and said it was a pleasant surprise. The mouse monster's name is a money-grubbing mouse. It's level 18 and normal grade, and its attribute is mystic. Its condition is healthy but afraid, and it had 3 ways to evolve to excellent grades. Gao Peng thinks the mouse's name is boring and its grade isn't high, but that is the first time he had seen a monster with the mystic attribute, so it's worth catching. Then Gao Peng told Dummy to let Stripey watch over the mouse, and he should let his ghouls gather the Lion Blade bees' corpses together. A few moments later, all the bees' corpses were in the big hole. Then Gao Peng tells Flamey that it's his time to shine. Then Flamey burned all the bees' corpses, to which the bees' crystal cores were left on the ground. Gao Peng thinks after obtaining power, gaining riches has become an incredibly easy feat. Then Gao Peng ordered Dummy to order the ghouls to move the core crystals onto Stripey's back. Dummy orders his ghouls, which his ghouls immediately followed. Then Gao Peng looked at the crystal core excitedly while saying although the bees are just low-level elite tier core crystals, the sheer volume of the crystal core can at least get him 10,000 alliance credits. Then Gao Peng ordered Dummy to recall the Ghoul Legion because they should head in deeper and persuade the rest of the mountain spirits in half a month. On the other hand, Dazai, Silly, and Goldie were behind Gao Peng back getting some crystal cores. Dazai told Goldie to hurry and eat the crystal core before Gao Peng sees them, because if Gao Peng sees them they won't be able to eat the crystals, to which Goldie responded roger that. After half month, in the villa lakeside, Gao Peng and his familiars were looking at the pond confused. Gao Peng wondered when did another pond appear there. Suddenly a big tail come out into the lake, which made Gao Peng and his familiars shocked and wonder if it was a big crocodile. Then Gao Peng patted angry Flamey while telling Flamey to be good because it isn't his enemy. Jai Huan said a month ago there was a massive flood at the Pearl River Delta that unearthed an enormous underwater cavern, and that's where it crawled out from. Coincidentally, he was thinking of catching a monster to bring home, so he chose it, which made Gao Peng realize that the crocodile was his grandfather's new familiar. The crocodile monster's name is Ancestral Viridian Crocodile, an ancestral variant. It was level 46 Lord tier and perfect grade. Its attribute is water and its abilities are water control level 3, hardened carapace level 3, and explosive crunch level 4. Its special ability is Berserker Blood. Blood undergoes violent mutation, a high chance of inducing blood rage. Effect 1, passive effect said gains a violent bloodlust proportional to the severity of the damage taken, which increases its strength and explosiveness for a short period of time. The crocodile condition is healthy and calm, and the requirement for its epic grade is the Ancestral Viridian Crocodile is currently in the process of reversing its mutation, and that is an irreversible process, and it will not be able to evolve until the process is completed. Also, it needs to consume many water attributes treasures. The more it consumes, the purer its blood will become. Gao Peng said the crocodile familiar is so cool. Jai Huan tells Gao Peng that his familiars aren't too bad either. Then Jai Huan looked at angry Flamey while asking Gao Peng if Flamey is going to promote soon. Gao Peng responded yes and said Flamey reached level 42 weeks ago, so they're finding a place for it to evolve. Then Gao Peng handed his tablet to his grandfather while saying they had discovered a total of 168 mountain spirits on their journey, and they have all agreed to cooperate with them. Jai Huan responded that Gao Peng was not bad. Then he asked Gao Peng what are his plans to do next, and if he only planning on setting up a network of outposts, or if he has something else in mind. Gao Peng asks his grandfather to advise him. Jai Huan looks at the tablet while saying although the mountain spirits are his allies now, what's most important is that familiar of his. With his familiar by his side, no one will be able to threaten him, so only using the mountain spirits to make a quick buck would be incredibly crass. On the other hand, the hunters who depend on those outposts for their livelihood will bring them the most worth, and he tells Gao Peng to gather those hunters no matter what it takes. Gao Peng responded he get it and said they'll create a union. The mountain spirit outposts will be the flagship offering of the union, and union members will enjoy a 50% discount on lodging. They can even collaborate with the Southern Sky Group and offer a 10% discount on the company's product. Jai Huan said Gao Peng was right, and he also said it's best to share a part of the profits with the Yuzhou government because it'll not only ensure their smooth operation, but it'll also get rid of unnecessary headaches. Gao Peng thinks in addition, they can distribute 20% of the profits as a year-end bonus to the members of the union, and their share of the bonus will depend on factors like their performance and rank. Also, wealth has to spread around because no one likes a miser. Gao Peng also thinks it may seem like they're sharing a lot of their profit, but the remainder would still be a hefty amount. Once the initial venture takes off and stabilizes, their next target is to go worldwide. Place like the Dongting Recreational Zone, the Sky Villa, the Amazon Hall, and the Bermuda Triangle Recreational Zone have been strictly off limits ever since the Cataclysm. But the myths and legends have swirled around those places since ancient times, and maybe it's possible to evolve a rare creature in those places. Then Gao Peng happily said they'll call the Union the Explorers Union, while Jai Huan was proudly saying as expected his grandson is smart. The next day, Da Zai was sleeping peacefully on the grass. Suddenly Gao Peng grabbed Da Zai in the horn, which made Da Zai confused. Then Gao Peng throws Da Zai in the big glass with the formula. Da Zai was shocked and asked Gao Peng what was wrong with him, what was going on, and why Gao Peng throw him in the big glass. Gao Peng tells Da Zai that it was an electric energy charged formula created especially for him. Then Gao Peng turns away facing Dummy, who currently holding the mouse, while telling Da Zai to be a good boy and evolve well in there. Then Gao Peng looked at the mouse, which made the mouse shocked. Gao Peng thinks the money-grubbing mouse has 3 evolution paths, and it has the least evolution paths among all of the monsters he had seen. Gao Peng wonders if it's because the mouse has the mythic attribute or if it's the type of mouse that doesn't really have much potential. Then Gao Peng gets something in the cabinet while saying they should first sign the blood contract and level up the mouse grade. Then Gao Peng held a pot while asking the mouse, who was shocked, to be good and jump in the pot. Then Gao Peng tried to make a contract with the mouse while telling the mouse to not be scared and they should sign a blood contract first, and with the blood contract, he won't hurt him. After the successful blood contract, in the end, the mouse is still in the pot boiling sad. Gao Peng set the fire to 180 degrees for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, Gao Peng opened the pot lid, which showed a lot of smoke. Gao Peng was confused and picked up the mouse, while wondering why the more the mouse evolve, the uglier it becomes. The mouse's new monster name is a treasure-sniffing rodent. It was level 18, an excellent grade, and its attribute is mystic. Its state is healthy but dispirited, and its introduction set evolved from the money-grubbing mouse. It's sensitive to the smell of treasure and is able to sniff out the smell of treasure when it passes by. Gao Peng thinks no matter what, the mouse can still evolve, and there are 2 pathways. One is to sniffing ability, and the other is to let it swallow treasures to activate other skills, which made Gao Peng wonder if that still counts as occupation changing. Gao Peng also said he's rich and already have many treasures, and now that he has found a money-grubbing mouse, he definitely would choose to become even richer, which made Silly confused. Gao Peng said they have most of the materials at home except for the blood of the king tier monster, and he thinks it's going to be too hard to get it from Stripey since Stripey body is all rocks, and he knows that he'll have to trouble his grandfather. A few moments later, Gao Peng was holding a big bucket while telling White to help him out because he'll only borrow a little of his blood and it is just a bucket, which made White shocked. Gao Peng tried to act cute while telling White that he already told his grandfather. Then Gao Peng asks White if his grandfather didn't talk to him, which made White disappointed. Then White cut his arms to give Gao Peng blood. Suddenly Gao Peng phone rang. When he answered it, he saw Feng Zhu calling him young master. Gao Peng tells Feng Zhu no need to be so distant and that he can just call him Gao Peng. Feng Zhu laughed and said Gao Peng is not the same as before. He can't treat Gao Peng as casually as before. Gao Peng tells Feng Zhu that he treated him quite well before and they should cut to the chase. Feng Zhu said after the Shachuaman man-eating earthworm lord successfully evolved last time, it led its clan back to the Dali Desert to fight for territory. Feng Zhu also said they were going to let 2 lords compete against each other, but the Shachuaman man-eating earthworm lord surrendered to the desert ruler, and now the 2 lord tier monsters are on the same side. Gao Peng responded that it was indeed a troublesome matter. Then he asks Feng Zhu what he expects him to do about it, and Gao Peng said Feng Zhu can't be asking him to take care of those 2 monsters. Gao Peng also told Feng Zhu that he overestimated him because although he has a king tier familiar, its size is too big for long-range combat, and he only has a lord tier skeleton familiar that's suitable for the mission. Feng Zhu responded no, and he said Gao Peng misunderstood it because currently, the golden deity will also personally descend. Feng Zhu tells Gao Peng that they only want him to delay the desert ruler while the golden deity deals with the Shachuaman man-eating earthworm lord. Then, they'll all finish off the desert ruler together. Gao Peng sarcastically said Feng Zhu's plan sounds like a good plan, But Gao Peng knows that wanting his help is just a ruse and they really want is to get his grandfather to act. And if he agreed, his grandfather would follow him secretly to ensure his safety. Then Gao Peng wonders if they want to use him. Gao Peng disappointedly thinks he treats Feng Zhu as a friend and that is how he treats him, and Gao Peng angrily asks himself if he looks like a pushover to Feng Zhu.